There's no time.
Lost.
The time is
13
o'clock.
Hello out there in Plague Land. Time once again for another of our regular episodes of 13 O'Clock Podcast. This is episode 191.
Yeah, we don't have to do too much chit-chat setting this up like we used to because sidetrack shows keep you guys abreast of what we're doing anyway, so...
Although I have to say that I thought that once we started the sidetrack show that we wouldn't go off on as many sidetracks.
Last time we did it anyway.
And we still have been doing it anyway, just because that's how we do.
Yeah.
We kind of can't help ourselves.
Do we have any shout-outs or anything like that?
Just a couple, really brief ones. We have a new $20 patron named Nico. So thanks you very
Nico.
much and welcome to the show. Also going to give another shout-out to our friend Rob Levinson from Out of Time Pictures. He sends us movies all the time. Like a lot of the movies that we have reviewed, like the past couple weeks, have been sent from him. He just sent me a new one. He sent me a Blu-ray of Cat's Eye, the Stephen King anthology film.
It was good,
from 1985, which Tom had never seen.
No, I've never seen it.
So we're gonna actually review that, but I think I'm probably gonna do Hellraiser first because I think Dominic sent me that one and I hadn't got around to reviewing it yet. So
yeah, and we got two from Sophie that we haven't watched yet.
Yeah, we
Bronson
really got
and the
Nice Guys.
Yeah. We gotta get to them.
I know we got like so many movies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not just ones that people send us, but we also have, we gotta watch stuff for the matinee show and all that other kind of crap. So we're always trying to like watch something, and sometimes we just feel like watching something we've seen before because we're too drunk or too tired to pay attention to anything new. We're just like, we just want to see something that we know that we like.
Yeah. Some people call this, fucking quarantine, but I'm kind of insulted by that. This is just our normal life.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Well,
we were going out to the clubs.
Yeah, and going
Not
out
as
to
much
eat
as we
and
used
stuff
to,
like
but yeah.
Yeah. And now we can't do that.
Yeah. We've monetized the fucking pandemic. I was gonna say.
Well, without even meaning to.
Yeah. We monetized the pandemic.
Well, like I said, in some ways it's kind of like, oh, now everybody gets to experience what it's like to be antisocial like me.
Yeah. I think all content creators on YouTube live like this.
It does really seem like that, yeah. And it's actually kind of sad because I was watching, what's one of the Dead Mall channels? I can't remember if it was Ace's Adventures or one of the other ones the other day. And
Brick and Mortar.
It could have been Brick and Mortar. We watched so many different ones. I was watching one the other day, and he said that he had 3 jobs, like gig type jobs. Like he worked, like he was a DoorDash or Uber driver or something like that, and he had like 2 other like jobs, and he's lost all 3 of them.
Wow.
So he's really kind of, I guess he's just kind of relying on his Patreon for the YouTube channel, and I don't know how much that is because I never checked. But I was like, yeah, a lot of these, depending on what kind of job you had, you might not.
I think it's very average to have like $500 a month. I think that's about the average.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Yeah,
I mean, other than a few like really big heavy hitters that make like
it's kind of like
a ridiculous amount.
It's kind of like there's about $500 a month, and then somebody makes a breakout and they make six grand a month, $7,000 a month. How much does was it Beer and Board Games make? It's like $7-8 a month.
It was a lot. It might have been more than that. But but the thing is, there are 2 of them that are on the show all the time, and then they have 2 people like rotating
lots
people.
Lots of guests.
They have lots of guests, so I don't know if they give them something and it looks like they have like a lot of production costs because, like I said, that's not the only show they do. They do like 3 or 4 other shows a week.
That's a whole damn channel they got.
Yeah, they have like a whole shit ton of different shows. So it's like, it sounds like a lot, but
they work for it.
Yeah, they do. It's it's an amazing amount of like editing and shit like that because it's they're edited like a lot nicer than this one is because this one I just kind of slapped together.
This is a 2-man operation. Saw something walk by the window, could barely see it. It might have been a dog next door or maybe Sasquatch. It's a dog. That's what it is.
Oh, it could. No, it's baby squatch.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm walking on all fours.
Baby sass.
Baby sass.
Baby sass. Yeah.
Have you seen the commercials for? I know this is like neither here nor there, but it just reminded me because you said Sasquatch. See, I told you we were still going to go off on sidetracks.
All right.
Have you seen the commercials for? I think it's called Dr. Squatch, like soap for men. Legitimately, those are the only commercials that when they come on YouTube, like at the beginning of one of the videos, I will sit and watch the whole thing, even though they're like 2.5 minutes long, because they're so fucking funny.
About stinky hairy dudes?
No,
Oh,
it's like they're like natural soaps. It's a line of natural soaps and shampoos and stuff like that. But just the guy, like the pitch man they have on there, is so fucking funny. And it's like just there's 2 different commercials. Like I think the first one's a little bit funnier than the second, but they're both really, really funny. And it's like now I don't know. I'll have to show it to you after the show. Just remind me if I'm not so drunk, because I think you'll get a kick out of it too. It is really funny. But that's legitimately the only commercial that I'll sit there and watch.
What's the show about today?
We're talking about, now this was actually a recommendation. I don't remember who recommended it. Somebody recommended it like a while back. Now this is really weird because this guy, Samuel Little, he's a serial killer, and if they... If all of his confessions and stuff are correct, which the FBI has no reason to doubt that they are, then he has taken the dubious crown of America's most prolific serial killer, taking it away from Gary Ridgway, who was convicted of 49 murders, if you'll remember. We did a show about him a while back. This guy, they think, has killed 93 women.
And we're not talking about Otis and what's his name?
No.
Level shit, right?
No.
What was his name? Otis and
Henry Lee Lucas.
Henry Lee Lucas.
And Otis Toole, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
They were full of shit. But...
They maybe killed 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
This guy, they're pretty sure that he killed all the people that he said he killed. Because, I mean, and it's over like several decades. Mm-hmm. He started killing people in 1970, I believe, or 71. And, they think 93 people. Now, they've confirmed, I believe, 50 or 60, the FBI has, just because he knows so many details about it, and they have, like, a case that matches up with that, or a body that matches up with that. The other ones, they're still trying to, like, identify the other murders, because he seems to remember, like, a lot of shit about them, too. He's in prison now. Like, he's been convicted of 8, but they think that he did a shit ton more. And the weird thing about it is that, you know, he just got caught in 2012. And for many years, like after he was put in prison, like for initially they put him in there for 3 murders in LA and 1 in Texas. So it was 4 initially. And for the first few years he was in prison, he pretty much said, no, I didn't do any of that shit. I don't know any of these women, stuff like that. But then when 2018 rolled around, I guess because he was getting old and he was like in bad health and everything like that, he's still alive. But I guess he decided that he was just going to like give everything up because he started talking. And that's when they found out that maybe there's like a lot of cold cases out there, because we're talking like several states, like 14 states or something like that, because he used to just like wander around. He's like transient.
What's weird is that some of these guys claim to have killed all these people, and then they'll say that they forgot about certain murders. That's a fucking weird concept, isn't it? That you could
It is very weird.
That you could forget one of them.
Yeah. I mean, I could see, if you've killed 93 people,
yeah,
I can see 1 or 2 of them slip in your mind.
I would think a lot of them probably slip your mind because it becomes commonplace, and there's so many of them that the memories might get jumbled together over time.
Yeah, and I think that this guy, I mean, listening to him talk, he seems to have a fairly good memory of stuff. Like, sometimes he confuses, like, he can't remember exactly what year it was. He's like, oh, it was 74 or 75, somewhere around there. But he usually remembers what city it was. He remembers what car he was driving. He remembers the woman's first name. He didn't usually know their last names because a lot of them were sex workers or, you know, just women he met in bars. And he remembers what they look like, so much so that he is able to do these very creepy looking but scarily accurate drawings of them.
He's got a pretty good memory.
Yeah.
That's weird because, like, guys that have killed a bunch of people in normal circumstances, and I'm saying normal be like combat. You know what I mean? Like, they'll recall it and they'll remember quite a bit about it. You know what I mean? After all those years, and I'm just saying, is this kind of weird that there can be so many of them, and it's a personal event between you and some chick. You've killed her, and you can't clearly remember it. That's just fucking bizarre. When, like, I've heard interviews of guys, German guys just fucking mowing down American soldiers trying to come out of the damn landing crafts at D-Day, And he's accurately saying, yeah, I laid down a fucking fire right into that thing as soon as the gates opened up. I fucking just chewed them up. Must have killed about 40 of them, And he can remember it pretty clearly.
Yeah.
Guys trying to jump over the sides. It's like a big event in his life. Not necessarily negative either. He's defending his buddies and his unit and his country, as far as he's concerned. And then hearing guys who were out in Japan on that island fighting, one guy was a flamethrowerman, and he talked about getting up close to a pillbox and squirting all that down, burning gasoline into that pillbox full of Japanese. He described it as curling them up like bacon.
Gross.
That's some fucking shit. You see, I just curled them up like bacon.
That's pretty fucking gross.
Yeah. It was and it was an old dude took it to his trip. But at least he had a memory of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's shocking to me that a dude could murder a woman on a personal level, up close like that, with by hands, or with knives or something like that, and not remember it.
And this guy, some of them, like I said, this guy is actually probably, I don't know if I'd say an exception, but because he does seem to remember.
He can remember what they looked like.
And he remembers, sometimes he remembers their first names, he remembers what they were wearing, what car he was driving, what the circumstances were. Yeah, the cat's scratching around back there. She's just going to do that. So
don't do it. Be quiet.
He remembers all that. But you have to think, like, some of these women, he was hanging out with them, like, for a couple of days before
he had a personal connection with
them. Yeah, before he would pick them up in a bar. They were, like, a lot of them were sex workers or drug addicts or something like that. So he would, like, kind of blow into town, go to some seedy club and, like, pick someone up, and then she would ask for a ride somewhere or something like that. Yeah. And then he would just decide he was going to kill her.
Okay.
It's really creepy. So since he
that's why his memory is so good, because he actually spent time with them.
Yeah.
Some of the other guys I remember that forgot about it, they were just like random women. He didn't know her very long.
Yeah, he just like grabbed her off the street, and then it wasn't.
Or some hooker he picked up. He only, looked at her.
It didn't take very long.
Yeah, and he was, 20 minutes later, he was strangling her, so.
Yeah, it might be that.
Because he knew him, maybe he can remember him better. But all right, because I'm thinking 90, that's a lot.
Yeah, between 90 and 93 people.
And going way back.
To the early 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I think I said 14 states before. It's actually 19 states, across 19 states. So, as you can imagine, once this guy started talking in 2018, and because he only started talking in 2018, there isn't a shit ton of information. I mean, there's a lot of, like, snippets of, like, various news stories. There's snippets of interviews with him, like, on YouTube. There's really no... Because you know how some of your, like, bigger ticket serial killers, if you want to call them that, like, they'll have, like, a few hour-long, like, documentaries about them, like a biography or, like, a true crime documentary or something. He doesn't really have that. There's a couple of them, that other, like, YouTubers have done that are just, like, 10, 15, 20 minutes long. He doesn't even have... This blew my mind. He doesn't even have a Murderpedia entry. And he's killed 93 people.
He'll be in there eventually.
Yeah, so it's just, like, I guess because this is still a developing story, and, I'm going to try and kind of cover all the basics and stuff, but to be honest, once he started confessing... And, the FBI got involved and everything like that, then every state that he's been in, like all of the authorities from those states have been coming to talk to him to see if they can clear some of their cold cases or match them up with ones that he's confessed to that they haven't matched up yet. So, what I'll do is I'll kind of just go into like a little bit of like, of him and his history and stuff like that. And then I'm going to go into, on the FBI's website, there are 5 cases in particular that they are trying to get to the bottom of, because most of the other ones they've kind of matched up to actual cases. But there are 5 that he has confessed to, and they haven't matched it up to a case yet, perhaps because the body has not been found. Because he does remember where he dumped some of the bodies, and some of it does seem like a place where you wouldn't find it. You know what I mean? And because it was such a long time ago, or, you know, there might have been some wires crossed somewhere with like an unidentified body or whatever. But those are kind of the 5 that they're working on at the time, at the moment, or at least like the last I checked, which I think was like 2019 sometime. So yeah, like I said, he beat Gary Ridgway. Wonder if Gary Ridgway was mad. When he found out.
Gary Ridgway is kind of a beta. He probably he probably wasn't even aware of it.
Maybe not. He was like, he beat my record.
I don't think Gary Ridgway. You know, I don't
Ridgway.
think Ridgway. Yeah,
Gary
Ridgway. Gary Ridgway, I think, was the kind of guy that was, oh, what? Huh? Oh, I didn't do nothing. He's like one of those.
Yeah.
I didn't kill nobody. Oh, you know, I'm innocent.
Also, I wanted to mention too, like another kind of big time serial killer is Harold Shipman.
Yeah.
He was English.
Yeah.
He was a doctor.
Yeah.
He killed 250 people.
No.
But it was mostly like patients of his.
Yeah, so it's easier to do.
Yeah, and I do feel like he doesn't get brought up a lot with like a lot of because a lot of his crimes weren't real splashy. Like he just kind of did it like for insurance money and stuff like that. So he was just like rubbing people out because he was a doctor. I was even like listening to I was reading that interview with the last podcast on the left guys, and they were like, we were gonna do a show on Harold Shipman, but you know, because he killed 250 fucking people, but it's like he just kind of did it for money, which. It doesn't make like a real exciting. It wasn't. I can't even remember at the moment.
1800s?
No, I don't think it was that long ago. I think it was fairly recent.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, we might do a show about him one of these days too, because I'm sure there's like enough interesting shit to talk about.
Probably not much to talk about. Kind of like those angel of death nurses.
And I was thinking about this.
Not much to them.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, like when I was out walking, and I was thinking about this show, and I was thinking about serial killers. And even though, your angel of death type killers or someone like Harold Shipman or somebody like that would still be considered a serial killer in the sense that they, killed more than 2 or 3 people, like in, other incidents and stuff. Sorry, dog's barking next door. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like, even though they're technically a serial killer, I feel like they're not serial killers in spirit, if that's not too fucked up to say, just because they don't seem to have the same motivation. They're
more like a multiple murderer or a mass murderer.
Yeah, because I feel like even somebody like, say, Belle Gunnis or somebody like that, who was just killing people just for practical reasons, which a lot of female serial killers do, just because they were trying to get insurance money or they're trying to, or various other things. That's generally what they are doing. So they're not really doing it for any kind of sexual
I think
pleasure.
At one time, the FBI, last I had heard, the FBI said that it had to have a sexual motive to it. That's really what makes you what they consider to be a sexual.
Well, that type of sexual or serial killer.
Yeah, that type of serial killer is basically a
it has
serial
to be a
rapist.
Sexual motivation.
Is what he is. The other ones are things like spree killers, mass murderers, and multiple murderers.
Yeah.
Not the same thing as what they're calling a serial killer.
Yeah, it has to have some kind of like psychosexual component, I would think.
It's a rapist. It's a serial rapist. He just happens to kill the victim.
Yeah.
And he gets into that.
And it does seem like Samuel Little had that. Now, Samuel Little, he's kind of interesting. Now, he's a black man. Not many black serial killers, other than we did a show about the Grim Sleeper.
Yeah, statistically not as likely.
Statistically not very likely, but
there may be a genetic component. Who knows?
Yeah,
white guys might have a certain kind of genetic structure that makes them gravitate towards serial killing.
Yeah, it could be, because it does seem like there's a lot fewer black serial killers.
And there's fewer Asian ones.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think Chinese people are the most common people in the world. They don't have big problems with serial killing. Now, it could be this type of society that they're in.
Yeah, it could be a cultural thing.
Cultural thing, what I mean? They don't have privacy or that type of deal. Everybody, there's too much security or whatever. There's no dating scene, that type of deal. Or it's not quite the same. And, they do kind of have underground prostitution there, but it's kind of, for some reason it's safer.
Yeah.
Maybe that too. But it could be that there's something with white guys. I'm saying this as a white guy. It could be something in white guys in their upbringing to where it's more likely that they become a serial killer. Not to say that white guys are serial killers. It's just that when there are serial killers, it's more
likely to be.
It's going to be a white guy.
It's almost always a white dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's upwards of 85%, I would think.
One explanation I heard is that one is sexual deviance, and sexual deviance is in blacks and in Orientals and everything. It's just that in the United States and in the West, sexual deviance with the white guy has a slight advantage because he can move freely among society without being noticed.
True.
You know, he doesn't look like he's out of place. Unless he goes to the hood, he looks like he's out of place. But so he has kind of a freedom of movement that you need to be a serial killer.
That is actually a very good point. I wonder if that has got to be a factor, I would think.
Because if you're black and you're a serial
and you're walking
killer,
around like in a
white
lily white neighborhood, everybody's going to call the cops on you.
But so that means you have to do it in the black neighborhood, right? Well, chances are you get killed in a black neighborhood doing that shit.
Yeah, someone's going to shoot your face off.
Yeah, right. So, that's a rougher neighborhood, and they got better survival skills there, and that's not a knock. But they got good awareness in black neighborhoods because you got to watch your back.
Well, yeah, you have to.
So, they're not the sitting ducks that white women are, I guess you could say.
Although, yeah, so most of Samuel Little's victims were black women, the majority of them, but he did kill white women and Hispanic women as well. He even said, like, in one of his interviews, and his interviews are, like, so creepy, because he's old now. I mean, he's, like, 78, 79, something like that. And he seems, so if you didn't know that he was a serial killer, you would have no fucking idea.
Well, there you go, right
He just
there.
comes off as, like, so, like, friendly, avuncular.
He was a serial killer because he didn't get caught. One of the reasons why he didn't get caught is because the victims didn't suspect him.
Yeah, he just seemed super friendly, so I guess it was just very easy for him to... I mean, I don't know what he was like when he was younger, because, I mean, the thing about Samuel Little is that he was in prison. I mean, he got arrested all the time, just not usually for murder. He was arrested for things like kidnapping or sexual assault or armed robbery or pretty much any crime you can think of. He fucking did it somewhere. And he would be put in jail, but he would be put in jail for like little bullshit sentences, or he was arrested for murder a couple times, but like got off with it because there was like not enough evidence and all this other kind of shit. So even though I think he went to jail like over one like 10-year, he only spent like 10 years in jail like over this whole entire time, even though he was killing people this whole entire time just for other little smaller charges.
So he's black. Most of the victims are black.
Most of them.
What was his reputation like in the community there? Was he kind of a trusted guy, or they just thought that he was a harmless guy, or what?
That's the thing, though. He didn't stay in one community. He was he moved around all over the place. I wonder
what his mannerisms were like. Did he have like a charisma to where he seemed like he was cool? So
I think so. He seemed like he would, even though, like, I don't know what he was like when he was younger, but, I mean, like I said, he was a criminal, and he got arrested for various other things for robbery and shit like that, but it doesn't seem like people...
Well, some chicks are into that.
Well, and the thing, too, is that most of the women that he killed were sex workers.
Yeah, so they were
they would just get, he would pick them up in a bar or, something like that. He's just
one of the crowd then. That's...
Yeah, so it didn't seem all that weird. And like I said, he didn't spend a lot of time in any particular city. So it wasn't like he was established in a community and he was killing all these people and nobody knew about it. Because like Grim Sleeper was kind of like that. He was kind of like lived in this one community and nobody had any idea that he was a fucking serial killer.
So this helped his hunting strategy because he was in and he was out.
He was just like moving around all the time. Right. He like Bundy.
Right. So the chances are, he didn't make a disturbance when he went in. Everybody seemed like he was all right. He might kill a couple people, and then he'd slip back out.
That's exactly what he would do.
Really weren't even sure who that dude was, and they forgot about him. He didn't stick out.
And sadly, because most of the victims were sex workers, not all of them.
Yeah. But no suspects.
No suspect. And the cops really, I mean, I hate to say it, but the cops really didn't seem to care all that much.
Well, how can you find a suspect if she's getting 20, 30 clients a day? It could have been any one of them.
It could have been any one of them.
So there's no suspects.
And some of the bodies have never been found, too.
Right.
So, there's that. So, Samuel Little, he was born in 1940 in Reynolds, Georgia.
Yeah.
Now, he said later on that his mom was a prostitute, which I don't have any reason to disbelieve that. Now, some sources say that he was actually born while she was in jail. I don't know if that's true or not, because I've heard that she was just a prostitute and he was born, or that he was born in jail. I don't really know.
So the victim profile is the same profile as his mom.
Yeah.
There you go. Some psychologists will fucking try to tell you a story behind that might mean something or might not mean something, you know?
Yeah.
Lashing out at the mom, at the mother
Aren't they
figure.
always?
Yeah, sometimes.
It seems like a lot of serial killers have that kind of pathology where they're it's like they're almost like punishing their mom.
Yeah, it's just something about the way certain guys might react to a situation like that. If the mom was cruel, and then I think it's more to it than that.
Yeah.
It's not that the mom's a hooker. The mom's might be a hooker, and she's an asshole. That's because there's a lot of guys that had their moms were a hooker from the hood. You know what I mean? Richard Pryor's mom was a hooker.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. He at least grew up in a brothel.
Yeah.
But I think he said his mom.
And most of the kids turned out okay.
Yeah, he's all right. He thought the shit was funny, I guess. he thought it was sad, but he didn't.
Yeah, it is sad.
He wanted to fucking get involved in entertainment and get the hell out of that situation, and he did.
Yeah.
Old Pryor. People forgot all about Richard Pryor. He was a great entertainer. And a good man.
He certainly was.
Set himself on fire, though, but he, shit happens. Yeah, I think he died of MS or something, didn't he?
Something like that.
Something
Yeah,
like that.
wasn't it multiple sclerosis or?
Yeah, he was in a wheelchair for the
Yeah,
final years and he
that's
died.
right. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Shit, that was a while
Man,
back.
he had some good movies. We need to see some fucking Richard Pryor and we need to see it.
And Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, like
Silver Streak and
Stir Crazy and shit.
Stir
like
Crazy.
that.
Yeah,
Damn.
that was a good one. I haven't seen any of those in a long time.
That was like peanut butter and jelly. Those two. That was like
They
salt
really
and pepper.
were. They really were.
Just two fucking opposites. They were fucking hilarious. If any of you youngsters have never seen Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder working together, go check that shit out.
Yeah, they made a bunch of movies together.
And as far as I can remember, those movies, the humor would have aged pretty well. I haven't seen them since I was a kid.
We'll see. I haven't seen them since I was a kid either.
You're right, but probably aged pretty well.
But I remember them being really funny. I've actually been pretty, because remember how I said like a lot of the comedies that I really liked when I was a kid, like Ghostbusters and stuff like that, and then I saw it again when I was older. I was like, thank God that it's still funny.
Yeah. Ghostbusters is still good. Yeah,
Ghostbusters is still hilarious.
Yeah.
So was Man with Two Brains. I was very, very happy because I used to love that movie when I was like a teenager, and I was like, man, I'll be so sad if I watch that. It's not funny anymore.
History of the World.
No, but it was still funny.
History of the World did not age well. Eddie Murphy's stand-up routines did not age well.
Well, like I said, it's because it's not edgy anymore.
No.
Back in the day, it was
Beverly Hills
shocking.
Cop 1 and 2 aged well, super well.
Yeah, that was still good.
Yeah, really good.
Those are still good.
And what aged really well, was even better when it first came out, was The Golden Child. I thought that movie was
You know
awesome.
what? I loved that when I was
fucking liked
younger,
that
and
movie.
I didn't like it quite. I still liked it, but I didn't like it quite as much
It's a cheap movie.
when we saw it recently.
Well, we didn't see a good... We saw a DVD print, and it was fucking... I bet you if we saw a totally restored version, it'd be a little bit better, but it was a fun movie.
But, I liked Howard the Duck, so...
Yeah.
I don't
Murphy
know if
made
I
that
have the
damn
best
comeback
judgment.
with fucking Dolomite. Man, that was a good movie.
I know. There was was Oscar buzz about it, but he didn't get nominated. I think he got nominated for some things, but
If you guys
not
haven't
that.
seen Dolomite is My Name on Netflix, go check that shit out. That shit was
We
fucking
reviewed that,
hilarious.
didn't we?
I gotta watch
On
that
one of the
again.
matinee shows. Yeah,
Gotta watch
that
it
was a
again.
good show. Yeah, so I'm not really sure if he was actually born in jail and she was in jail or whatever. Some sources also say that the mom dumped him on the side of the road, but that doesn't sound right to me because I think what ended up happening was that she had him and then she didn't, she was a single mother, obviously. I don't think she knew who the father was. So she actually ended up moving to Lorain, Ohio, which is where her mother lived. And, so she would have like a support network to help her like raise the kid. And then I think she moved back to Florida. So he was actually raised by his grandmother in Lorain, Ohio, and his mom went back to Florida. So he went to junior high. I don't know if he went to high school. He doesn't seem like unintelligent or anything. He just didn't really apply himself. He seemed like one of those kids that was just gonna like trouble from the get-go, you know what I mean? Like just getting into trouble all the time, not really like applying himself and shit. And I believe he dropped out. I don't know if he dropped out in junior high or high school, but he did drop out of school.
If you had good sense, you dropped out of high school if you were in the hood. Because the hood's version of the high school is just fucking prison.
Yeah, it's
Supposed
like you're
to
really
depend-
not going to
yeah.
learn anything there.
Yeah, it's like prison. Depending on what state, if you're around New Orleans, and it depends on where it is.
Yeah.
But, I had friends that fucking went to high school in this around the Ninth Ward area and everything, Louisiana. Man, the stories they told me.
Yeah, I've heard that shit.
It was like prison, yeah.
But yeah, so, like I said, they don't know a great deal about his childhood and stuff like that because he was kind of, transient. He's a transient type of family. His first conviction for a crime occurred in 1956 when he was 16 years old. That was breaking and entering. And that happened in Omaha, Nebraska. So I'm guessing he started, like, wandering around, like, early on in his life because his grandmother lived in Ohio. So he got put in juvie in 1956. Now, he was in there for a little while. Not much is known of him, like, in his late teens or early 20s. They do know that when he was in his late 20s, he actually moved to Florida and moved back in with his mother. Now, he did actually have a few jobs around this time period. I heard he was like a sanitation engineer, worked for the sanitation department in Dade County, or Dodd County, as you call it. That's not how it's Dade.
Okay.
I am from here.
I'm from,
It's Dade.
I'm from everywhere, but in Mississippi they'd call that Dodd.
But like I said, in English, when you put an E at the end of something, it makes the vowel long.
In Mississippi,
usually.
we speak English. It's a fucking high-tech, aristocratic English that came from the 1700s, man. It's more English than British English. They fucking moved on. We fucking still call the shit the way it used to be called. We say ain't and hain't and stuff like that. Hainted.
I say ain't all the time.
Yeah, okay. All right. Holler.
Hog waller.
Yeah.
My dad used to say winder.
Yeah.
Wash the winders.
No, we don't say window.
He's from Tennessee.
Window.
Isn't that funny? So so he worked as a sanitation engineer. He worked in a cemetery. So, practicing, I guess. Said he also worked as an ambulance attendant. I'm not really sure what that is. That's not an EMT. What is that?
What is it called?
An ambulance attendant? Somebody that just stands by the attendant.
No, it's probably somebody that works off of an ambulance.
But not an EMT.
But they're not the EMT. Maybe they're somebody that
just
opens and closes doors and helps you get the damn the gurney inside the.
I guess so. Because being an EMT, that takes like quite a bit of training.
Probably like the assistant to the EMT.
Yeah, I guess so.
Probably what they're talking about.
So apparently, even though he had a couple jobs in Florida where he lived with his mother, like I said, at this point he's in his late 20s. He had a bit of the wanderlust, and he didn't want to stay in one place. So over the next few years, he just started wandering around the country. He would just kind of go. What he would do generally is he would go to a new state or a new city or whatever, steal a bunch of shit, and then sell it, and either trade it for drugs. He'd get some drugs, and then he would get a motel room and stay there for a little while. So he just basically made money from crime. You know what I mean? Yeah. Other than the couple legit jobs he had in Florida, I don't think he ever had legit jobs after that.
Yeah.
He was just on the grift all the time.
Yeah.
So, over the next few years, he was arrested in 8 different states for various crimes: fraud, shoplifting, armed robbery, solicitation, driving under the influence, aggravated assault, and rape.
So this is back when you could get an armed robbery charge and then continue on and do some more
And then everybody just said, it'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be all right. Just
let him go.
We'll give him 2 months.
It almost seemed and I was watching some other, a little short documentary about this. It almost seemed like people didn't, the authorities didn't really want to deal with him.
Yeah.
They were just kind of well, throw him in the hole for 2 months and then just get him the fuck out of here because we don't want to look at his face anymore.
Yeah.
It definitely did seem like they were just trying to move him along on his way because they felt
armed robbery could get you 10 to 15 years.
It's that's what I'm thinking.
Rape could get you 20.
Yeah, you could get life for that shit. I mean, depending on how violent it was.
Where it was, and if it was aggravated or forcible or strong arm, there's a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
They could get you on that. But yeah, you do that shit now, you do serious fucking time. But we're talking about the 70s. This is before.
Yeah, this is 60s, 70s.
This is before, you see, now I think the United States has one of the largest prison populations on the fucking planet.
Indeed it does.
Yeah, we have a prison industries here. They'll just enslave you and work you in them damn industries. They're basically kind of like Soviet gulags. So they're trying to get people in there. You know?
Yeah, they'll put you in there for like nothing.
Yeah, and then they'll get federal funding to house you. And they'll make money off of that. So...
That's what fucking kills me about this.
I guess
it's like,
back then they were like, it's too much money to lock these guys up. Here, let them
that's
back
the
up.
thing, though. It's like, in some ways, this might be a weird thing to say, but it's like, back in those days, it almost seems like it's better to have that type of kind of laissez-faire attitude about, like, minor crimes.
Yeah.
But then this guy seemed to have done, like, major shit, and they just kind of let him skate.
Yeah, I mean, I hear about crimes that happen in Europe, my fucking jaw just drops, you know? Like, dudes will just fucking... steal a car and get caught, and nothing happens to them. You know, here in the South, that's I think it's called fucking grand theft.
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, and
just like the video.
You do
game.
that, you're gonna get 5 years. You're gonna get 5 years.
Now, to me, 5 years seems a little excessive just for stealing a car.
No, because it's an industry here.
Yeah,
stealing cars. They steal the cars, take them to chop shops, reduce them down to parts. So what you do is you just give everybody 5, 10 years or whatever, and then for each offense, it goes up because you're trying to interdict car thieving rings.
Yeah.
You know.
To me, it seems weird that like this guy just blithely kind of like skipped across the country, doing all this shit and murdering people, which they didn't know about till later on, and no one put him in jail for anything, which or he'd do like a year, months, 18 months here and there for shit. And that just seems like fucking crazy to me. Yeah. Now, like I said, I am of the like, if you committed a crime where it didn't like hurt anybody, it was just like a property crime, like I said, like stealing a car or like, just stealing shit from a store or whatever. It's like, yeah, you should be punished for that, but I don't think they should give you fucking 5 years or anything. That's ridiculous. Yeah. But then on the other hand, if you do violent shit, then yeah, they should lock your ass up. But that did not happen with this individual, and that's to many people's detriment.
I guess you could say the way the United States was back then is kind of like the way Europe is now. I mean, there are guys in Europe raping 10-year-old girls and getting like only a couple months for it. You rape a 10-year-old girl here, you're gonna do 30 years. And you're gonna get raped in prison if they find out.
Well, and then if you ever get out, you'll still be on the sexual offender list like forever.
Forever, yeah.
Like, that'll always be associated with your name. Which I'm not sure. I don't know. This might be, and I don't know if I mentioned this before. This might be a controversial statement, but I feel like the sexual offender list, like, I don't know. We need that because I do want to know, like, if some dude that, like, is fucking on parole for some of that shit is, like, living next door or whatever, that's good information to have. But if somebody that committed a crime like that and did say 30 years, like you say, and then they let him out, I don't think they should leave him on because he's never going to be able to reintegrate into society.
Well, a lot of I think
I don't know. It's like a really hard. That's like a really hard thing to like fucking sort out.
There was a lot of shit that got instituted. A lot of it got instituted back in the 70s. That's kind of, when you think about it, pretty fucking mean spirited. I'm not sure I totally agree with the whole functional concept of felon. It's kind of stupid. If a guy has done his fucking time and paid for his crime, then he should be able to come out and be a citizen again.
Yeah, because
vote, have guns, whatever.
It doesn't help. Like you said, if he didn't
pay for his crime, don't let him out.
Then don't let him out. That's what I'm saying. Like if you and I'm not like advocating. Like if people did something really fucked up, like just leave him in there and throw the key away.
Yeah.
But if you think that they've been rehabilitated, or they didn't like do a crime that was like super violent, or they don't seem likely to reoffend, and if you decide that, if a bunch of people decide that it's okay to let them out, then let them out. Like wipe the fucking, because he's gonna go try and get a job. No one's gonna give him a job. It's like, you know what I mean?
Well, what they did with the sex offenders is that they said, well, all sex offenders are serial sex offenders, so we have to fucking keep an eye on them. So we want to know where they all are. But then they pass laws where you can't live in this county. So then you end up with homeless camps.
Yeah, it's like, where are they going to live
sex
then?
Offenders that can't fucking
It's like,
live
I know nobody wants
like,
them to live like next door to them. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I don't either. But it's like, they have to live someplace. if they're going to let them out
kinda
or
like
don't let them out.
It's kind of like the American war on drugs. It's not well thought out. It was something that they passed without really thinking about the implications.
Well, that's the thing.
Who gives a shit if these people are getting high? I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit. Well, like I said, that really does seem like like minor drug offenses. That really seems like something that shouldn't even be. I mean,
it's from another era.
Maybe a little bit of fine or something like that. I don't really give a shit about it.
Back in the olden days, in the 1800s and the first half of the fucking 1900s, you had a right to what you did with your own body. If women can have abortions and do this and that, then if they can take birth control pills, then why can't you get high?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't really have a problem with it. As long as they keep you from, well, just like now, it's like people can drink alcohol as long as you don't drive around.
Yeah, and if you kill somebody, you're going to answer for it.
Then you know what I mean. And they have laws against you driving around, like when you're drunk. That's fine. If you want
all that shit.
That's what I mean. If you just want to sit in your house and do drugs and not go anyplace, I don't give a shit about that. Do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you know what I mean. But so it's just weird because, I mean. That's the thing. I think people tend to think of like, authorities or like governments or so like this big like monolithic kind of thing, but it's not. It's just like
a bunch of random shit.
It's a bunch of it's a bunch of random people and a bunch of random times.
Yeah.
Different places, different circumstances, and all just kind of like cobbled together like in the best way that they could think of at the time.
Yeah. What's funny is civilizations go through something called senility, is that they have these laws and the laws are very hard to change. But time moves on, and now all of a sudden the laws don't match the situation anymore, and they don't even match the culture. So, the laws have to change with the times. And, a lot of these weird laws were made for generations that no longer exist. Like there are county laws out in Mississippi that say that you cannot, it's illegal to wash laundry on Sunday. Who gives a shit if you're
That's what I mean. It's like what
on a Sunday
possible situation. I love to sometimes like look at some of those just like really weird like arcane laws like no eating ice cream in the street between this hour and this hour. And I'm like, what possible circumstance could have led to that being passed?
Jones County has single-handedly banned porn in Jones County.
Some Alabama, some places in Alabama, you can't sell sex toys.
How the hell can you? They all have internet.
Yeah, it's like there's no possible way to enforce that
they
nowadays.
ban porn. There's got internet.
Possible way to enforce that nowadays.
So and then they're like, you can't have sex toys. They got eBay. They got all kinds of shit. You can order that shit offline or online. So the laws don't fucking make sense. Those are laws that were made during the 1800s and the 1900s. And it was Southern Baptists that really just voted to impress the church congregation, and then they turned right around and broke those laws.
Well, and the dumb thing too is that
laws really don't mean anything. At least
I mean, the thing about it is like county to county. It's like like for example, like when I was growing up, you weren't allowed to buy certain types of fireworks in the county where I grew up. But you could drive right to the next county and get anything you wanted and then bring it back. And then if you got caught, you could just say, oh, well, I'm like blasting a new well or some shit. And the cops are just like, oh, okay, cool.
It's funny, because I'd go up to live in places like Michigan and living in Boston. They took laws seriously. I mean, it's like it was for real. Mississippi laws aren't real. That's just what, that's just make believe.
It's like, obviously we do need laws, but I think that a lot of laws, like you said, were passed a long time ago, and the situations that they applied to no longer apply.
Mississippi would pass a law that was totally ridiculous, and they would pass that law because that's what the preachers told them to pass that day in church, and it was to make everything look good. It was like face saving, like in China, saving face. It was like that. And then right after it's passed, they go right out and break that law like it never even fucking happened.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's just a show.
Yeah.
None of that shit was for real. Now, of course, they weren't running around killing everybody, and fucking. They're actually very moral people, in terms of like. Well, I guess you say they're not stealing or killing or anything like that. But other than that, they just do whatever the fuck they want to do. I mean, we used to fucking use fucking black powder and fucking blow anvils fucking 200 feet in the air. Mm-hmm. Anvil shooting. I don't think I've told that story. Making cannons and stuff. And that was for the Super Bowl. Blow a damn cannon, blow that damn anvil. Boom! It's like a cannon and trying to get it.
There's some YouTube videos of it I've seen.
Yeah. And the cops would fucking go down and run around, and they're looking, and they go, who shot that anvil? There's no anvil. It's Super Bowl, man. Everybody knows it.
Super Bowl is
Super
anvil
Bowl is
shooting
the day
time.
you shoot the anvil.
Duh.
Yeah.
Well, it's just kind of like I said, it was just kind of like 4th of July. We had all kind of illegal fireworks. So they were illegal in our county, but not in the next county.
Yeah.
And like I said, you would shoot the fucking shit off in your backyard. Yeah. Maybe a cop would stop and be like, hey, tone that down a little bit. And you'd be like, yeah, but he was just kind of like, just wait till I'm gone. Yeah. And then it's fine.
Yeah, there was all kinds of
just don't hurt anybody.
We do all kinds of
don't
funny
blow your
shit,
fingers off.
In Mississippi. I can't talk about it.
I'm sure the statute of limitations has run out by now.
I think that.
But yeah,
some of that shit had to be federal.
Probably.
Yeah, some of that shit we were.
Yeah, you don't want to like put it.
We were
like some fed, somebody from the FBI might be randomly watching this show on their lunch break, and they'd be like, oh, "They're gonna come get you."
Come get me for something we did. We were like 17, 18.
Like tomorrow, somebody will be like knocking on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Thomas Ross. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we said all that to say that nowadays, like, you kind of get put in jail for like bullshit stuff, but apparently back in the 60s and 70s, you go around and rape and kill and armed robbery and shit like that. And you would just get thrown in jail for like a little while, and they'd be, yeah, fuck off, just don't do it again, okay?
Yeah, she was just a hooker.
Yeah, well,
that's probably what it was.
That really does seem like a lot of it, and I hate to say,
I didn't rape her, I just didn't want to pay her. So that was probably his defense.
Right.
It wasn't rape, I just didn't want to pay.
And that's the sad thing, and we've talked about like other cases too, where a lot of the victims were, sex workers and stuff, like even the Long Island serial killer, where a lot of them were like Craigslist escorts and stuff, and it really does seem like, I hate to say it, I don't want to shit on the cops too much, but it does seem like if the victims are sex workers, they kind of seem to like not prioritize it as much.
But you probably can't believe them. That's probably one of the things, too.
Well, that might be a problem as well.
If you don't pay her, you know what I mean? Or you didn't pay her what you agreed to pay her, she could turn around and say that you raped her. And the cops are probably like, all right.
Well, you did if you didn't pay her.
Well, the thing is, though, is the cops are not going to look at it that way. They're going to be like, how many times you pulled this scam a month? You said this last month. You know what I mean? So they probably know who she is.
But the shitty thing is that, like, shitty dudes will use that against her.
So then just being a clusterfuck, and the cops tell her, man, why don't you fucking kick that habit? Walk away from the needle so you don't have to sell it. So you don't have to put on that red light. Those days are over. You don't have to sell your body to the night.
You know what? I love the police, but it's like I can't hear Roxanne without hearing like Eddie Murphy singing it. Isn't that sad? Ever said that? It's like completely like indelibly linked in my mind.
That's funny.
I love the police though. So basically, he does like some short stints in and out of prison. Samuel Little does. According to him, he's actually like a fairly big dude. He was 6'3". And when he was in and out of prison, he kind of took up boxing. So this is kind of scary, but some of his victims later on, they found that one thing that he liked to do was he would punch his victims into unconsciousness before he like strangled them and shit. One of the victims, I can't remember which one it was, because a lot of them were like unidentified or they don't know their names at this point. One of them, he punched her in the abdomen so hard that it broke her spine.
Damn. I don't believe it. I don't believe a man could punch somebody hard enough to break their spine.
I don't know. Like I said,
from the front or from the back?
He's a big dude. I'm not really sure. I don't know if it was the back or the front.
Must have hit her in the back.
But still, that's fucked up. That's still fucked up, whether it was from the front or the back.
Yeah.
So like I said, so he got 3 years in prison in 1961. That was for breaking into a furniture store in Lorain, Ohio, where his grandmother lived. So he was released from there in 1964. Now, by 1975, he had been arrested 26 times in 11 states. Attempted rape, assault, theft, fraud, and, according to Wikipedia, attacks on government officials.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Maybe post office people delivering mail, stealing packages.
Maybe. What, like the mailbox? The mailman comes to your door to like deliver a package. You just like punch him in the face.
You seen him, following you, punch him, steal the packages from him. I don't know. Government official. Who would that be?
IRS.
No.
That's what I mean. That's what I couldn't think of. It's like,
'Cause if it
he
was
must have
the
been going to
police-
the post office
Yeah,
and punching people randomly.
Yeah, because if it was the police, then they would have said the police. And
Yeah,
the
like
police
attacking a
would've-
police officer.
Yeah, the police would have fucking shot his
Would have
ass.
shot you because, yeah,
So
you don't
the only
do
thing
that.
I could think of is something like a mailman. Maybe going up to a mail truck, beating a dude's ass, and just taking all the packages out of the mail truck.
Like looking for checks and like packages
take all the
and stuff.
packages out of the mail truck.
Because he was like, that's how he made his living, was like by stealing shit.
probably was doing robbing mail trucks.
Maybe he was. Like I said, there's not like a huge amount of information about this guy, even though he is probably the most prolific serial in terms of like victim count
Yeah.
in the United States. So, 1982. Samuel Little gets arrested in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
I know where it is.
I hope I'm pronouncing that
Yeah, I
right.
know
I
where it
pronounced it right?
Yeah, Pascagoula.
Yeah.
Pascagoula.
See, I know how to pronounce
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, Pascagoula.
I can pronunciate things correctly.
Yeah, okay. Good.
Now-
Feel proud about yourself.
Mr. Dodd County.
Okay. All
Miami-Dade. I can't
All
believe
right,
you never heard that
Miami-Dade.
before.
All right.
It's Dade County.
Sounds too highfalutin and shit. Too fancy.
I'm telling you, it's Dade County.
Dade.
It's named after a person.
Dade.
Just
like
like
call
what-
that shit Dodd. Hey Dodd, come over here. Yeah, Dodd.
It's really
It's rolling off my tongue. You can see that shit with some skull in your lip. Dodd. You spit. You can spit and say Dodd.
Please don't do that.
Dodd.
Oh my god.
That sounds like some
That's
shit.
fucking great. That's like
fucking
some
cowboy
shit
movie.
that carnies do, man. It's
I used
like
to fucking dip.
I know you did.
Okay.
That's fucking
Just at night,
disgusting.
though.
Don't you fucking start that shit again.
No.
Have the fucking like
Nah, it's when I was a smoker.
had like the fucking spit can
Mm-hmm.
over there. It's like fucking I'll be vomiting forever.
Couldn't smoke at night when you're in the army, in the field, so
So you had to like
had to fucking put some skull in there. Yeah.
blah.
You get used to it. It's pretty good.
I don't think so. I used to smoke too, but it's like I'm not going that far.
Yeah, put fucking skull. I like the fucking skull long cut. Brown one. Brown can.
So gross.
And then a friend of mine tried to get me into snuff. That's where you have a little can.
I know.
And you snort it, and it
I know.
was tobacco dust. Boy, I never really could get that though.
I didn't
Snorted,
even.
it was like snorting
honestly, I
fucking
didn't even
black
know they
pepper.
did snuff anymore. That was
Yeah.
kind of. I feel like that
He was trying to take
that
it
was kinda
old
like
school.
that was like some 1800s.
Yeah,
shit
he was
right
trying
there.
to go even older school. He was like, he was trying to impress people. He's like, skull?
He was like a hipster before
I'm
they
gonna
were
go back
hipsters.
before fucking skull.
I'm going back to Napoleonic era, motherfucker. We're gonna do some fucking snuff.
Snuff. You're right. And he's like that, you know, and I'd snort some of that shit off the back of my hand, like that, and you just start coughing. It was like snorting black pepper.
Yeah, why on
and
earth
then he'd
would
look
you
at
do
me like
that?
I was a pussy.
Well,
Yeah.
that's kind of like sometimes when I'm sprinkling cinnamon in my coffee, and some of it, like if you breathe real hard and it goes up your nose, and you're like, ah.
It was
So
like
I can
green.
imagine.
It was like green powder, like green tea. You know, like the stuff
Yeah.
that you make for what matcha, like matcha.
Yeah.
It was like that.
Yeah.
Came in a little bitty can, about the size of a dime.
Yeah, that's like those
Yeah.
little fucking.
Little tiny can. Yeah.
I first heard it. You know, you want to hear what's funny? The first time I heard of snuff was
Mm-hmm.
from. I think it was from like a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah, so that's how
Because
old it
back
is.
in the old days, yeah, but it's like back in the old days, like there was like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, and please forgive me if I'm remembering this wrong, but I'm pretty sure there was a Bugs Bunny cartoon where he met Napoleon,
Yeah,
and of course Napoleon was like this little bitty,
snorting snuff.
and yeah, and he had like a,
Yeah,
like
you know
he
how
was
that
doing
started,
that,
right?
Yeah,
You know how it started?
what?
Well, the people that were in the tobacco industry, the people that shipped it and moved it around, you know, by cart, okay? At the bottom of the cart, all the dust from it would fall off.
They're like, hey, we can sell that shit to idiots.
No, what happened was while they were loading and unloading little clouds of it, they'd inhale it, and they got addicted to the damn dust. So then they started to save the dust. And then they were selling the dust. And then they started to make dust. And it's tobacco dust.
That's
And you could get addicted to tobacco dust.
That's some fucking gumption right there. They're like, that's some entrepreneurial spirit.
You can get addicted to
Just
the dust.
the sweepings off the bottom of the cart.
Yeah, came off the bottom of the
We
cart.
could like monetize this shit.
Yeah.
Right? Make people like snort it up.
Well,
their
if you
nose.
saved it up, you know, after some shipments, it might be fucking 10 pounds of that shit. And it, you know, make some money. But they were addicted to it. They were sniffing it.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? The dust would blow up while they were loading
I don't
and
think I
unloading.
could go that far. Like I said, I used to smoke.
Yeah.
So I get that, but it's like, I don't know. That's just too much.
It's a hard hit. It's like taking a big long drag off a cigarette. And you do get a hit of nicotine.
Yeah,
it's
I can
a rush.
imagine.
Goes right to your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. But it also makes you sneeze, man. Sneeze
That's
like
what I was
fucking
thinking.
crazy.
That's
yeah.
like I said. That's like when I put too much pepper on some shit, or I put too much cinnamon in the coffee or something, and it goes up my nose, and then I start sneezing.
Yeah.
I just feel like you
That
would
was my
just sneeze
snuff
it all
experience.
out. Your snuff experience.
Yeah.
Well, don't fucking start that. So you can do snuff if you want, but don't.
I stopped all tobacco. It's been a long time.
Don't do the fucking.
I don't do stuff.
Chaw.
I don't do any of that.
That shit's so fucking gross.
No, chaw is not the same as dip. Chaw actually comes in a brick. I tried that
I know.
too.
That's what my grandpa used to do.
Yeah, that shit tasted terrible. I didn't like it. It was kind of unsweetened. It didn't really have any kind of flavor. But like some of the stuff, like some of the chew, like Lancaster was like, it was keeping a black bag. It was like chewing shredded.
Nasty.
It was like chewing shredded raisins. That's how good it tasted.
Ah,
Yeah.
raisins are
It's
disgusting.
like a mixture of raisins and tobacco.
Fuck raisins so
And
hard.
you have that shit all up and you feel like you're going back to fucking 1849 with your last round of ammunition. I mean, I'm getting ready to fucking pan for gold and shit. You know what I mean?
You're paying for gold.
Yeah.
You're sitting around the
I'm
fire
20,
with
panning
your...
for gold at 20. Living outside, spitting on people's boots and shit.
Sitting around the fire with you
Guy
little paying.
fucking, your
got your
buddy,
little
your
prospect
buddy
hat
take
on.
his K-pot helmet off and put it on the ground like that and you spit in it.
Got
like
your
that,
little
yeah.
fucking pemmican or pemmican or whatever that shit's
pemmican,
called.
that's meat.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like because you're going out on the trail and shit.
Yeah.
Big,
Whatever.
Big old fucking beard.
We gotta give it. We're getting sidetracked again. We're getting fucking sidetracked.
See, like I
again.
said, the sidetrack show has not helped at all. It's
hasn't
like
helped
we're
one bit.
talking about a serial killer, and now we're suddenly just talking about fucking
Yeah, it's how
chewing
it's
tobacco.
I'm drinking.
Well, that's all right. People,
I'm
it's
drinking.
as long as people are entertained,
Yeah,
just be entertained.
yeah, and I'm drinking. No,
What?
people, check this out. Okay?
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking tequila,
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you usually
silver tequila, and a juice called maracujá, which is that's what they call it in Brazil. It's passion fruit. I got that shit at Walmart during the pandemic. And it was cheap too. They got a shit ton of it because.
Did you touch stuff in Walmart? Did you?
Yeah, yeah. I was
You're gonna give me diseases.
White people don't know anything about Walmart. They don't know. They don't.
I didn't
No,
go to
no,
Walmart.
no, I don't mean Walmart. I mean white people don't know. Don't know anything.
I was gonna say white people know everything about
White
Walmart.
people don't know anything. And I'm saying white people when Brazilians are white most of them. But I just gotta fuck around. But Americans don't know anything about fucking passion fruit and passion fruit juice. It's like a parallel dimension orange juice. But it doesn't. It comes from a fruit that's nothing like an orange. It's more like a melon without any meat. It's just a bunch of seeds in it. And it's those seeds that taste like that. They're beautiful. And the ice cream is fucking off the chain.
Yeah, I actually kind of
Passion fruit ice
like
cream.
passion.
Yeah.
And I don't usually like fruity ice creams. Other than strawberry is all right, but
Yeah.
normally if I'm gonna eat ice cream, I like chocolate or coffee or
Yeah.
nuts or
You like those
chocolate
girl
chips.
flavors.
That's
girl.
not girl flavors. Fruity.
Girls like that chocolatey shit. Guys like fruit stuff.
or butter pecan.
Butter pecan,
That's
yeah.
like old people flavor, but I like that.
Oh, butter pecan's good.
Yeah, butter pecan. is
Pralines
delicious.
and cream.
And well, I have to say too that like one of the only fruit ice creams that I like is if you go to like a good Indian restaurant, like Memories of India
Yeah.
here in Lake
Mango,
Mary,
yeah.
they make their own mango ice
Yeah.
cream, and it is delicious. And I don't like mangoes. Like mangoes, if I eat a mango like by itself, to me it tastes like perfume. I have that thing where you know how people like some people like they have that genetic thing where if they eat cilantro, it tastes like soap.
Yeah.
I have a thing. I don't know if there's like a parallel thing, but every time I've eaten mango,
Tastes like
it tastes like perfume.
perfume. Yeah.
Like it tastes like I'm like eating perfume.
I love it.
But this Indian restaurant that we go to, they make their own mango ice cream, and it is really, really good. It doesn't like taste perfumey or anything. It's like really, really rich and savory. It's yummy. But yeah, so we were talking about Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Yeah.
So this is 1982. Now Samuel Little gets arrested there, and he's actually charged with murder this time. For a 22-year-old woman whose name was Melinda LaPrey. Now, she had been missing since September of 1982. So, he did get arrested for this murder because he was the last person that had been seen with her. Like, several witnesses came forward and said, hey, yeah, you know, she got in his car and then we didn't see her again and she went missing. But because The only witnesses were other sex workers. And there wasn't any other physical evidence. The grand jury did not indict him for this particular
Well, it's understandable.
murder.
There's no evidence.
Yeah.
Just because you're the last person seen with a person doesn't mean that you
Yeah,
killed.
that doesn't necessarily
Especially if
mean
she's
anything.
especially if she's a prostitute, she's seeing all kinds of guys.
Yeah, she might have met someone else.
Right.
Now, while he was under investigation for this particular murder, however, he got transferred to Florida because he was suspected in yet another murder. This was the murder of a 26-year-old woman named Patricia Ann Mount. Now, her body was found in September of 1982. Again, Samuel Little was the last person who had been seen with her before she disappeared. But again, because the witnesses were sex workers and or drug addicts, the jury did not believe them or did not think that their testimony was credible. So he actually did end up going to trial, but he ended up getting acquitted of the murder in January of 1984. Now, we should probably take a break at this moment because I think we're at the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
And
Went by fast.
yeah, it did actually. Well,
Yeah.
like I said, because we went off on a million tangents. Well, like I
How
said,
much more of the case we got left?
that's
We halfway through the case?
yeah, it's probably
Okay.
about halfway
All right, good.
through. So
We'll be all right.
you know what I mean. It'll be okay.
You guys are on this ride with us anyway. You got nowhere to go. You're under lockdown. It's a pandemic. It's the apocalypse.
Pandemic.
Yeah. It's the Omega Man out there. Neville!
It's really weird because it's like it's weird because it's a pandemic and you're not supposed to go outside and stuff like that. But it's like I don't leave the house except early in the morning. You know, I go for my
walk.
power walk along the trail there, and there's a zillion people like out, like walking dogs, riding bikes, jogging. Because a lot of people live around here and they're probably like sick of sitting in their house, and that's kind of the only place you can go where it's like outside and you can still stay like.
It's a boring, friendly pandemic.
Oh wait, yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like really weird because in a lot of ways it doesn't seem, at least where we are, it doesn't seem that unusual.
Yeah, it's
because
pretty
it
normal.
seems like a normal kind of thing. Like I'm going out and there's like tons of people like jogging and walking their
Nobody
dogs.
seems to
and-
be under any stress either, so I guess they got shit worked out with their jobs and their landlords. They're just gonna hold everything together.
I guess.
Maybe they're not worried about the money. I don't know.
Although what it like. I was thinking about that too because I was like, well, what would that look like? I mean, because I'm kind of stressed out too. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are stressed out because even like a lot of our friends that I've heard of, like, you know, have lost their jobs and or don't know if they have a job to go back to. Like, you know, they don't know if like the place they worked is going to open back up again. So it's kind of like. But I don't know what I would expect. Like, I don't know, like, I'm out walking, like, in the morning. It's like, I don't know if I'm expecting somebody, like, walking their dog or something to just be like, oh my God. Or so, like, no one's doing that, obviously. Everyone's just walking around like a normal person.
Looking at these numbers, man, the United States has proven itself to be a very disciplined fucking society. I thought they would
Which I never would have thought.
I'd have thought they'd gone ape shit by now, but these numbers are looking pretty good, and I think once everything opens back up, people are going to work together to get the shit fucking started
Well, like,
back up. That's
you
how
know what I mean? It's like, that actually kind of surprised me because I thought, because you know what a lot of Americans are like. It's like if you tell them to do something, they're like, fuck you,
They
man,
go,
I'm not
"Fuck yeah,
doing
I did
that.
that shit."
I'm not doing that. Well, because, like, look at all those stupid fucking spring breakers and, like, the fucking governor of Florida. He wouldn't close the beaches until after spring break because he's like, no, we need all the tourist money and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, then we have all these fucking retards from all over the country.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about the pandemic. I'm out here spreading disease, blah, blah, blah. Fuck you, motherfucker. And I was just like, God damn it. But after that happened, like, it really did seem like most people, like, cracked down and started taking it seriously, which actually surprised me because I didn't think that people would do that. I thought most people...
at first. They didn't give a shit. They thought it was a joke.
Yeah, which, you know, I guess I
Took 'em a
understand
while.
that. But, you know, now that everyone is taking it seriously, it seems like most people are on the same page. Yeah. So that actually kind of surprised me that most people are actually doing what they're supposed to.
Crime has plummeted.
I never thought that would happen. I never thought that would happen because,
well, there's limits to this, though.
Because,
too.
like I said, like a lot of Americans, it's like they kind of have a lot of it, and I don't mean this as like in a bad way, but a lot of them have like the mentality of like a toddler, where it's like if you tell them not to do something, they'll do the opposite.
Well, that's their superpower, though.
That's what I mean. It's
That's
like,
the American
fuck you,
superpower.
you're not the boss of me.
Yeah. That's what makes America happen.
Which, you know, in some ways that's good. Like in
Yeah.
some situations that's good. In this situation, it's not good.
Right.
So I'm glad to see that most people are like kind of going along with it and like being cool and everything. I don't know if you guys have seen some shit like where you live and stuff, but it does seem like most people are kind of like trying to work together and trying to be cool and everything like that. Because everybody's in the same situation. It's not like, in a way, maybe that's good because everybody can relate to everyone else's issues. It's not just kind of like, oh, this is just affecting one group of people and we don't give a shit about them. This is affecting everybody.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is. So maybe that like kind of brings out people's fucking...
We'll see.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take a break. We will be back in just a few minutes and talk some more about the crimes of allegedly the most prolific serial killer in the United States thus far, Samuel Little. We'll be back in just a second.
What's happening, baby cookie? Yeah. You're not into it, are you? I know. Yeah, Daddy's in the other room sneezing. Oh, you're gonna eat that? Yep. She just loves to chew on wood things. Okay, bye. Oh, Stwatch. Why are you so cute, Cookie? Why are you so cute? Yeah. You just started taking a little nap and... Because you were up all night waking Mommy and Daddy up at 5 in the morning. She was out of treats, to be fair. So she had to bang on the window till we put some in the bowl. She was mad. And then she jumped up on Tom's chest and like headbutted him like, thank you. Sorry, sweetie.
You love true crime. I love true crime. And I've spent the last 3 years compiling a series of the most intriguing unsolved murders of the 20th century. It's called The Faceless Villain, and Volume 3 is available now. Featuring such fascinating cases as the Ketty murders, the Carrie Babies case, the Frog Boys, the Alcasar murders, and the Inokashira Park dismemberment incident, The Faceless Villain Volume 3 is an involving exploration of unsolved slayings spanning the years from 1980 to 1999. Pick up your copy in print or ebook formats on Amazon, or download the audiobook version from audible.com, and get ready for a chilling journey through modern crime history. All right, we're back from the break, talking about serial killer Samuel Little. Did you refill your drink and all that?
Yeah.
Kind of
You're good to go?
I guess so.
Okay.
I have some left.
I can pour you some of this if you want. I mean, you don't like tequila? Try that shit with that good
I don't
juice.
like tequila.
Come on, man up.
I
don't want you manning up. I don't want you to get too manly.
I was like, you want me to grow a dick?
You get too manly on me, and then I'm gonna have to break up with you.
Actually, you know what?
Might try to peg me with some shit.
So, all right, now all of our drinks have been
replenished. Made her a drink.
But I had to leave that stuff in. About
you got shit in there,
and
man.
Stuff, because that's funny. As hell.
Yeah, I know.
Talking about me getting manly and like doing that kind of shit.
You might try to peg me or some shit like that.
Yeah, knowing me, I probably
you
would.
gotta try to peg yourself. You try to get manly.
I'm an asshole like that. So,
all right.
Whatever, you love it.
Well, no, I'm not into that.
So, when we last left our serial killer, Samuel Little, he had just been acquitted of the murder of Patricia Ann Mount in January of 1984. Now, after he got acquitted of this particular murder, he moved out to California and ended up staying in various places around San Diego, usually in motels, or he would like stay with people or whatever. Now, he wasn't in San Diego for very long before he got arrested once again. This was in October of 1984. He gets arrested for kidnapping, beating, and strangling a 22-year-old woman named Lori Barrows.
Damn.
Now, she actually lived. So she reported the shit. They did actually kind of take it seriously, but they couldn't find him at the time. However, a month after the attack on Lori Barrows, Samuel Little was found in the backseat of his car with another unconscious woman who had also been beaten up severely and strangled. This was in the same place as where Lori Barrows had been attacked. So finally, the cops are kind of like, oh, okay, well, maybe we have a problem here. So he got arrested and charged with both of the crimes. However, he only served 2.5 years in prison. Again, this is another thing where I'm all for giving lenient sentences for, drug shit or shit that's nonviolent shit. But you beat up and rape a woman and she's unconscious in your car 2 times within a month.
You gotta go.
I feel like you need to get more than 2.5 years.
No, you need to be killed.
I'm just saying.
Because you let a motherfucker like that run around, she's gonna get your wife, your daughter, your friend's daughter, your friend's wife, a menace to society.
Once you've done it 2 or 3 times, I feel like there's a pattern emerging.
You gotta go.
And
just
you need to be taken off of the streets for the safety of everyone involved.
At least that. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least.
I'm just saying. So a lot of people dropped the ball in this situation. Is all I'm saying. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone in particular.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that a lot of police districts in this case. I know he moved around a lot. I know they didn't have the fucking technology back then. But
the legal system, the prison system, all that just could. He just
fell through the cracks.
We've gotten into this kind of shit many times on the show. Law enforcement wasn't what it was, back then.
This was early 80s.
Yeah.
So
the forensic technology, fucking computer technology, it wasn't there.
Well, and they weren't cooperating with other precincts. It's like
if you
it was
moved
all
around, you could fucking.
And that seems to be what he was doing. And like we said, if you preyed on victims that were not particularly quote unquote valuable individuals,
right,
then you could pretty much operate with impunity. It seems like
they called that people on the margins of society.
Exactly. And, your smarter serial killers,
they knew all about
Samuel
that.
Little,
yeah.
He seemed to know that targeting those people would keep him off the radar. And he was correct because he didn't get caught until 4 decades after he started killing people.
Yeah.
So he gets 2.5 years for both of these crimes. He gets released in February 1987 and moves to Los Angeles. Now, when he moved to Los Angeles, it is believed that he killed at least 10 more people in LA.
That's a whole serial killer fucking
some serial killers have not even killed that many people.
That's a whole career right there.
That's what I mean. This dude has killed, I believe it. Like I said, a lot of these serial killers that is oh, I killed this, that, and the other person, and they like to inflate their tally for some fucked up reason. This guy, I don't think he's inflating it.
Yeah.
He remembers killing 93 people. I buy it.
Yeah.
I think he really did kill all those people. And they just don't, they just haven't matched all of them up yet. I mean, the FBI seem to think, and they know more about it than I do because they're not releasing a lot of the details and shit. But they're we don't have any reason to doubt his confessions because most of them we've been able to match to particular cases that were unsolved. And there's no reason that he would know any of these details. So 93 people, probably. And like I said, he seems to remember them pretty well. Although he's getting old now. He's almost 80. He has diabetes. He's in a wheelchair. I'm not saying that for you to feel sorry for him. I'm just saying that he might cack soon.
Yeah.
And
he's trying to get it all off his chest.
Yeah, and some families might not get closure.
And he's in prison anyway.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, on the other side of that, I know that a lot of the families of the victims might want him to be, formally convicted of the murder of whoever their relative. But 1, he's old and he's really sickly.
Yeah.
It's 2, how much money do we want to spend?
Yeah.
Since he's already in prison, he's never getting out.
There's no time.
If he confessed to it and that he did it, I mean, I would hope that was enough closure.
That way they can at least clear it off the books and they know what happened to
and
those
they
people.
know what happened to those people.
But it would take too long to do all those trials. He'll be dead by the time you're
That's kind of what I figured because he looks like he's really not in
Yeah.
good shape. He can't even walk anymore. They're just carting him around in a fucking
It would take a good
wheelchair.
10, 15 years to get through that many cases.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like,
so he ain't
it's
gonna-
it's very, very slow. So I don't really think, yeah. So now he is just like running around killing people for all this time. Now he doesn't get arrested for the final time until September of 2012. Now they had already started to suspect by this point that he might be involved in a lot more murders, that he was involved in a lot more cold cases than they had initially suspected. Now, he was arrested in a homeless shelter, like some Christian mission or something like that, in Louisville, Kentucky, by authorities in California. They wanted to extradite him back to California, and they had him because he had like run off on some fucking narcotics charge. But since they suspected him in a bunch of murders in California, they just wanted to get him back in the state. You know what I mean? So they were using that because they knew that was like, a thing that they could get him on. So they arrest him in Kentucky at a homeless shelter. They bring him back to California to face the drug charges. And then VICAP, the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program or whatever, whose only job it is to like scour through like cold cases and like try to match them to like DNA profiles of, criminals that are on file, because they're trying to like clear all the cold cases. That's like their whole entire purpose. They had gotten a bunch of hits on his DNA because they were checking like some old cold cases and stuff. So they determined through DNA, once he was back in California, they determined that he was involved in 3 cases that were unsolved in Los Angeles. Now, these were the murders of Carol Elford, who was murdered in July of 1987, Guadalupe Apodaca, who was murdered in September of 1987, and Audrey Everett, who was killed in August of 1989. These women had all been murdered in Los Angeles and just like found in the streets. They were all sex workers, and his DNA was found on all of them. So they had some shit to like hold him on. Now, the more he was into, so they take him to Los Angeles, right? And he gets formally charged with these 3 murders in January of 2013. Now, a couple months later, they kind of came out and said, okay, well, he's also being investigated for about 12 other murders that took place in the 1980s, although they didn't give like any further details. They just kind of came out and said, we suspect this dude is responsible for many more murders than, what the DNA shows. Just because like all of this, like his MO was similar, like all this other kind of stuff, and they like tracked where he was and all this other kind of stuff. Now, at this stage, the case of Melinda LaPree, who he had been arrested for committing in Mississippi, but was not indicted because there wasn't enough evidence. They reopened that case because they suspected that he might have been responsible for that as well. And then they started testing him for all these other like unsolved murders around the country. So his trial starts for the murders of the 3 women in particular that they had DNA evidence for. That started in September of 2014. Now, in September of 2014, he gets found guilty of those 3 murders and gets sentenced to life in prison without any possibility of parole. Now, at this stage, he's still saying he's innocent. And he doesn't know any of these women. He doesn't know what they're talking about, yada, yada. But there was DNA evidence. All the evidence was there in these 3 particular cases. So they were able to secure a conviction. He got life, no parole. So he's put away. After that, though, he's in prison for a few years. Now, they suspect that he might have started confessing, one, because he was in bad health. Like I said, he's a diabetic and he can't really walk anymore. Like he has to go around in a wheelchair. He also has heart problems. So they don't know if it's because he thinks he's dying or because he wanted to get transferred out of the prison in Los Angeles, which he didn't like because it was like noisy and crowded and everything. But he started confessing to like all these other murders in all these other states, and eventually ended up getting extradited back to Texas for a murder that he had committed there. So he starts in November of 2018, which is why there's like not a lot of info about this case yet, because it's still very much an open investigation. And he only started confessing in late 2018 to all the shit that he had probably done. He starts confessing to all these other murders, which, like I said, a lot of serial killers do that just to like, you know, pump up their victim number and stuff like that. But this guy, it was kind of different because he seemed to remember very particular details about every single crime. Even if he couldn't remember exactly where it happened, like when it happened, he was very good about remembering, oh, I was driving this car, it was in this city, like I met this person at this bar, or a bar that was on this street or somewhere around there. Like, he remembered enough details that they could like look back into the cases and like match them up with actual unsolved homicides. So November of 2018, he confesses to strangling a woman named Melissa Thomas. That happened in 1996. He also got charged with another murder of a woman named Denise Brothers. That was in Odessa, Texas in 1994. And I should say, too, that there was like a Texas Ranger named James Holland. And he's kind of considered like the hero of this story, because he's the one that, and if you watch a lot of the interviews with him on YouTube, that's whose voice you'll hear in the background. That's James Holland, because he seemed to be really good at getting this guy to talk. One thing that they said, and this, I thought this was really interesting. One thing that they said, because people started coming, like once he started confessing to shit, like, you know, authorities from all over the country, like states where he had lived, like started coming there to interview him about cold cases that they had open. They're like, don't ask him, like, don't tell him to like confess to the crime for the families, because then he will stop talking, because he doesn't give a shit about the families. And if you tell him, if you say that, like, he'll just shut up, and then he'll just to spite you, I guess. Yeah.
He's like, fuck those families.
Because he doesn't think that the victims... It's really weird because it's hard to, like, tell, because there's not a lot of footage of him. There's, like, some footage of him where he's, like, confessing to the crimes, which is creepy because he seems so normal and, like, so friendly. You know what I mean? But then when he starts talking about the crimes, not only does he remember them very well and, like, remember the situation, but... he doesn't seem terribly upset about it. He doesn't seem... it just seems like something he did. And the weird thing is that he says that he loved all these women. And that... it's like, I'm not really sure what his motive is. He said in one of the interviews that I read with him that even from a very young age, he said he remembered being a little boy, like 5 or 6 years old, in school, and becoming obsessed with women's necks, because that's how he killed almost all of his victims. It was strangling them. And he's like, when I was a little kid, I had this teacher, and she used to, like, you know, when she would touch her neck or something like that, he's like, that really, like, you know, that turned me on. He said, quote unquote, it made my dick hard. So he seemed to be, like, aware of some weird neck fetish.
Neck fetish, yeah.
I guess. So it really does seem like... So he even said later on that, like, he was able to not kill people that he loved by not looking at their necks. Because if he looked at their necks, then he would just want to kill them. Okay. It's really weird. Like,
he's like Dracula.
He had, like, this weird sexual thing where he had to... Now, the thing, too, is that I've read some sources that said that he was maybe impotent.
Yeah.
But that he got... that he got sexually aroused by the strangling, because some of the bodies did have semen on them,
right? But
not usually inside the body. It was usually outside the body. So they think that while he was strangling them, or after he strangled them, that he jerked off on the bodies, because that was like how he was getting off.
They weren't watching him. His performance and anxiety. They were dense.
It might have been something like that. So, like, I don't know. Like, some of the things that he said, it sounded like he was implying that he was impotent.
Yeah. If you guys aren't regular listeners, I have this fucking theory that a lot of guys that are basically kind of like necrophiles. They can only have sex with a person after they're dead or rendered unconscious because it alleviates performance anxiety.
Yeah, because nobody's looking at them.
Right.
Or
so it's
they don't
kind of like they're jerking off to a magazine.
Or they don't have to
Something like
worry about
Yeah.
like doing anything for that
Right.
person. Like they don't have to worry about like a
Well, they
mutual-
don't have any fear of making any kind of mistakes or being
Right.
disapproved of or trying to. They don't have to worry about satisfying somebody else. It's just
Right.
them and their little fantasy and their little jerk
Which
off.
think
for the
about
ones
how
that-
much better this world would be if they'd all just bought sex dolls and left
Yeah.
everyone else alone.
The day will come.
I guess.
The day will come.
When the sex dolls are so like cheap
Yeah,
and realistic that you can just have one of those and not be a serial killer, that would
guess
be
so.
awesome. But yeah, so
Either that or there'd be a lot of women out of job. Who knows?
well, that's all right.
Then there'll be male sex dolls too that look like damn Korean pop stars.
You know what though? I feel like they won't sell as well. It's
It's
just
probably
kind of
when
like
women don't give a shit.
no, they don't.
Women don't give a
Well, that's the thing. It's like when there was Playboy and that was like a big success, and then
Yeah.
they did Playgirl.
Yeah.
It mostly wasn't women that were buying that; it was gay men. That was
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's what they
Women
expected.
don't like porn. Women like damn this romance novels.
Well, we like erotica.
Erotica.
I like written erotica.
Written porn.
Like I said, we like to use our
Imagination
imaginations.
shit, yeah.
We don't like to just like look at stuff
Yeah.
because I'm like, who the fuck is that? I don't know who the fuck.
Men
that
don't
is.
really have imaginations when
No,
it comes
they
to
don't. I've noticed.
Like a shark. It's all just fucking. It's all just extrasensory.
I've noticed that as well. But yeah, so that's why I thought that was very funny that they actually thought that women would buy porn magazines with like joke.
Yeah.
I bought one time like as a gag gift for somebody. That's the only time I ever bought one.
Yeah.
Cause like why the hell would I ever like I like erotica, like written erotica, but it's like
Yeah.
it doesn't need pictures. I don't need pictures. I got a brain. I can think.
Men
of
are
shit.
eye focused. They're eye centric.
They are. Yeah.
Visually centered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how it looks.
But yeah, so this Texas Ranger pretty much got this guy to like confess to all this shit. Samuel Little, he pleads guilty to the murder of Denise Brothers. That was in December of 2018, and he got another life sentence for that. And then the people in Texas, like in fucking Ector County, whatever the hell it's called, where he was being extradited, that's where he wanted to be moved. Because like I said, he didn't want to be in prison in LA anymore. He would rather go in like...
He was tired of the LA scene.
I guess he wanted to go like be in this prison in Texas because it was like quieter, I suppose, because it wasn't as crowded, because it was like a smaller town or whatever. So they moved him there, and he started confessing to other murders. And they surmised that he may have committed, as I said, 93 murders across anywhere from 14 to 19 states between 1970 and 2005. He also confessed to a murder that happened in 1979, which was Brenda Alexander. She was 23 years old. That was in Phoenix City, Texas. He was also suspected to have killed a woman in Macon, Georgia in 1977. This was an unidentified woman. Also, he admitted to strangling a woman who was 18 years old named Fredonia Smith. That was in 1982. He also confessed to another 1982 murder, 55-year-old Dorothy Richard, and the 1996 murder of Daisy McGuire, who was 40 years old. Now, this was both of those murders were in Houma, Louisiana. Houma. That's what I thought. Now, when he was in Mississippi, because like I said, he went all over the fucking states, he had strangled a woman named Julia Critchfield, who was 36 years old. That was in Gulfport. He dumped her body off a cliff in 1978. He also admitted to killing Nancy Stevens, who was 46, in Tupelo. That was in 2005.
The king would not approve.
No, I would hope not. He also killed a 19-year-old girl named Evelyn Weston.
Now, hold on one second.
What?
You said he threw a girl off a cliff in Gulfport. I'm trying to think of where the cliffs are in Gulfport.
Maybe not a cliff.
I
Maybe
lived
it was
in
like
Gulfport. I'm just trying to think, where the fuck is there's no cliffs in Gulfport. I'd like to see where this was.
Well, it was maybe off a rock or something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
I would think.
Yeah.
It just said cliff on Wikipedia, so I don't really know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like Florida. It's like we don't really have any cliffs, but
Yeah.
we have hills and shit.
Yeah, Gulfport.
All of
Gulfport.
Florida's very flat, in case you
Yeah,
guys didn't.
it
We don't have no
has-
mountains. We don't have nothing like that.
It's
all at sea level.
It has beach there at Gulfport, and then it goes into ports where it's like a swamp, where seawater is up against damn trees. It's the weirdest thing in the world. It looks like fresh water, but it's seawater.
Yeah, we have some places like that here, too.
Yeah, like the Everglades.
Yeah.
It's like that. But there's no cliffs there. So I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know either. Well, like
Maybe
I
it's an
said, maybe
artificial
he
cliff.
just meant like
Right.
off of side of a fucking hill or
Right,
embankment or something.
Right.
But yeah, so like I said, he also killed a 19-year-old in Evelyn Weston. That was in South Carolina. That was in 1978. And killed a 20-year-old woman named Rosie Hill. That was in Marion County, Florida, in 1982. Yes, he killed some people here as well. So, as I said, in late 2018, the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, or VICAP, as it is better known, they had actually confirmed 34 of Samuel Little's confessions, and were trying to match the rest of his confessions to known cold cases around the country, states where he remembered that he had been. One of the confessions that he made also was one that happened in Maryland, and it was an unidentified victim. This was actually it was in Prince County, Maryland, and apparently this was one of only 2 murders with unidentified victims that had ever happened in this particular county, and he confessed to one of them. So, May 35th, like I said, this is very recent. That's why there's like not a lot of info on this and why this is still like an ongoing investigation. So, May of 2019, in Ohio, Cuyahoga County, they had they brought forth more indictments, like 4 more counts of aggravated murder, 6 counts of kidnapping. They also accused Samuel Little of killing a woman named Mary Jo Payton in 1984 and a woman named Rose Evans in 1991. Both of those were in Cleveland. They had both been strangled or dumped. He strangled almost all of his victims. I believe a few of them he drowned as well, but most of them were strangled because he had that neck fetish thing. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention too is that he kind of implied that God told him to do it. I don't know if he meant that God told him to do it, or because some other shit that he said too, like during his interviews, was that, well, God knows that he's doing that shit, and so it must be okay. That's kind of like what I got from it. Like he was not stopping me, so he must think it's all right.
Is this the same guy that would say that he could see the devil in them?
No.
Okay. There's another black guy that used to say that he could see the devil in them, and he would go after him.
The weird thing about it is that he said that I loved all these women and now they're with me forever. He like said shit like that.
Well, he's keeping them. It's a good way to keep them from cheating on you. They're dead.
I guess they're prostitutes though. It's like that seems like a little too much.
I think he's talking shit.
It's just really weird. But it's like
he's just trying.
It's weird because he comes off like, if you go and watch like, snippets of interviews with him like on YouTube, because there are a few, it's like he comes across as like, he's not creepy at all. Not really. I mean, what he says is creepy, but his demeanor is not creepy.
He's talking shit.
He comes across as like very normal, and like the way that he's talking about these particular women that he murdered, it's almost kind of like he's not bragging exactly, but it's kind of like it amuses him, like to think about it. He's like, yeah, I did this and that. He's she was the biggest, she was so pretty and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's very weird.
What choices does he have when he's talking about these women? Is he going to say, I hated them bitches, they're all hoes and sluts? No, that might reflect badly on him. Okay? So what he does is he says, no, I loved them. I cared about those women. Okay.
Yeah.
That way he comes across like he's a good person. In reality, what it is he didn't give a shit. He was just trying to bust a nut. That's what's really happening. He just tried to add a different element to it. To try to make himself look a little bit better. in front of the authorities. That's what I think.
It's just very strange. Like if you and if you watch, because you probably haven't like watched any of the like YouTube.
No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, stuff. But you'll see what I'm talking about if you watch him.
That's my estimation of the situation.
He comes across as very. He just comes across like a grandpa that's like talking about some shenanigans he got up to when he was younger.
Well, he's trying to cash in on his success,
but not in a bragging kind of way. It's not. He doesn't seem like he's bragging.
He's trying to act humble. He's bragging.
I
don't buy it.
I know, but it's like he doesn't come across like that.
He's not coming across that way, but I've been studying this type of personality for too long. There's not a big difference between them. They're all, you know what I mean, in terms of motivation and motives. It's all camouflage.
Yeah.
You can't trust what they say. You can't go with appearances, you know, with serial killers. The truth is that he either hated the women or he didn't give a shit. But he just doesn't.
I have a feeling that he just didn't give a shit.
Probably just didn't really give a shit. He thought they were shitty and that he could kill them and do his little thing on them and get away with it. And then afterwards, he's like, "Man, I'm fucking slick as shit. I could do whatever I want."
Because like all he would say was just like he would talk about like all the shit that he was doing, and then he'd be like, "Man, shit was crazy."
Yeah,
it was so crazy.
You see, he can't say that to the authority. He wants to confess so everybody knows what he did, but he can't tell the truth because they'll come back on him like, "No, man, you piece of shit." They'll make him feel bad.
Yeah,
they'll attack him, so he has to make himself more presentable. I cared about him. Don't know why I did it, but I care about them. Loved their necks.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
not
kind
buying
of like,
that shit.
Yeah,
I'm not buying it.
Because, like I said, some of these women, like one of the women in particular who I'm thinking of, who was actually she was a white woman.
Yeah.
And she he said that that she approached him like he was like parked like behind a bar or a restaurant or something, and she was like kind of a hippie and she needed a ride like to Miami, and he spent like 2 or 3 days with her. Mm-hmm. In the car, and then he just decided, oh, I'm just going to strangle her.
Couldn't take it anymore. He had to get his rocks off.
Yeah, it's just like, it's the weirdest thing. He doesn't come across like a serial killer at all.
For him, the killing and having that dead body is the sex. He's I think, you know, what you're talking about. You're talking about like a modified necrophile. They've got to be dead.
Yeah.
He doesn't have sex with the dead body, but the dead body's with him when he's having sex. He's masturbating on the thing. Okay.
It does seem like that.
So he's trying to, but he feels it's an accomplishment. He wants to take credit for it. He wants everybody to know that it was him before he dies. And he doesn't want to be attacked, and he doesn't want people to think he's a bad person. He wants people to respect him, so he says he loves them.
Yeah, because that's what he says. Like,
that's just how I'm seeing him. That's how I'm seeing it. But it was a power play, and it was all about him. It's
like, now they all belong to me because I remember them.
You see, here it is. He's dying. He's getting old, right? But it's all about him. These confessions are about him.
Yeah, of course.
They're not about the family or the victim or anything.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
He's basking in the glory and the attention. See?
That really does seem like, even as, I don't really want to use the word likable, but some serial killers do come across as, like, not as creepy as some of the other ones. But even the more likable of them, they do seem to make everything about them.
Yeah.
They're very, like, self-absorbed.
Well, this bitch thinks he's Zorro.
Yeah.
You know, that's who he thinks he is. He's got a fantasy image of himself.
I mean, all he would ever say, it's like, he's very matter-of-fact about, like, saying, this girl came up to me and I did this, and she wanted to ride to Miami and and then I just strangled her and he like remembers everything. He's like, I strangled her and I dragged her and put her in this road, and he remembers what city it was, what car it was, and all this other kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's like, but he doesn't like embellish it. He doesn't. That's what's like so weird about it. He's just very.
Well, there's two things I think happening in their mind. One, they want to bask in it. This is kind of like the dude scores a touchdown and then he does the damn,
dance,
the dance. That's what he's doing. Because they can't punish him. He's too old now. There's nothing they can do to him. So he's now free of their justice. So he wants to fucking do his victory dance on the goal line, But he also wants to kind of like... I think there's a certain part in them that is that they want to get they want to get the guilty feelings, because I think they do have some guilt. They want to get that off of them. And you see, bringing it out into the open, they no longer have to have the burden of carrying the secrecy.
Yeah.
So they become liberated from their own little secrets. You know, and I think in some way they feel that they're being approved of because people are listening to them, and there's no punishment. Punishment can't come. So therefore,
yeah, because they've already been punished.
They've already
there's
been punished,
nothing
so,
more they can.
Yeah, so it's
do
kind
to
of
them.
like letting yourself off the hook. That's what it is. It's letting yourself off the hook.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what it is.
Yeah,
because
that's how I'm imagining it.
Like I said, I mean, as you know, I know
like in Amadeus Salieri, fucking at the end in this wheelchair. You know what I mean? That's what you would understand that. There's that analogy, but that's what it's like.
We need to review that movie.
It's a good movie.
That's one of my favorite
Salieri
movies of all
at
time.
the end, going, yeah, he was better than me.
He's the patron saint of mediocrity.
Yeah, Mozart was
I love
better
that
than
fucking
me,
movie
but
so much.
fucking I killed him.
I've seen it a million times.
Yeah, we gotta see. I gotta get that bitch on Blu-ray.
I have it on DVD, but I think it's in the attic somewhere. That was do you know, fun fact, that was the first DVD I ever bought. Like
Really?
when DVD was a new format. Because that is one of my favorite movies.
That movie was
time.
watchable as fuck. When I was a kid, I watched it about 20 times.
It's fucking great.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
I even read, that movie, got me super interested in Mozart. All this stuff about Salieri, that shit's not true. It was just, based on
a good movie.
Play and stuff. Yeah. But Mozart's life was actually really interesting. And I got, all into, interested in, his sister, who was just as talented. Her name was Linerl. Mm-hmm. And she was just as talented as him. But, of course, she was a girl, so it's nobody talked about that. So it's she did all the same shit as him when he was a kid, you know, because their dad Leopold would take them around and tour them around Europe and stuff, and hey, performing children, look, they're musical prodigies. But once she got to the age where she could be married off and stuff, they just did that to her. Yeah. But you know what I mean? She was.
That's the way the times were.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's really an interesting story. If anybody, so we should. But seriously, we should review.
Yeah, but that's what he's doing. He's doing his Salieri moment. That's what I think.
It does seem like that. But like I said, watch the shit and you'll see what I'm talking about. But he does come across as a very you can see why a lot of women, not just sex workers, not just, maybe they wouldn't have been threatened by him. He doesn't come across as threatening. Maybe he did when he was younger. I mean, he's a big dude, but he comes across as very personable and very friendly. And, you know, he's a good talker. He's just yeah, we're doing this and that and other thing. He just comes across as a good guy.
They probably just thought he was cool.
That's what I mean. And so it's which scares the shit out of me, because now I don't want to talk to anybody ever, because I'm watching this guy and I'm just hey, he seems pretty cool. Oh yeah, he's a serial killer.
Don't worry about it. I got you back. I'll sniff them motherfuckers out.
I have just got to the point, I'm almost 50 years old. I've gotten to the point now where I'm just kind of trust no one. Yeah. I don't care how friendly they seem. Just trust no one. I just assume everyone's a serial killer.
No, I don't.
Well, it's, I've written enough true crime to know.
There's a certain feeling you're going to get.
But you might not.
They're mostly involved in fucking bad business to begin with. Look at the situation. They're not moving in real good circles. They don't move in the same circles we move in. I mean, we know some people that do some bad shit, but it's just normal bad shit.
Normal bad shit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
drugs.
Yeah. And other things.
Petty larceny.
Yeah. we know bad people, but they're good people. They're just dumb. A lot of them.
Yeah, it's I don't think
they're not evil.
I don't think anyone we know is a serial killer. I'm pretty sure. I would be very surprised.
No.
If anybody we know is a serial killer. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to hear some other things. Yeah. But serial killer, no. But then that's what they all say, though, isn't it? Every time somebody gets caught as a serial killer, all their neighbors and friends were oh, we're so surprised.
Worried about it too much. They're usually constantly on the move. They're fucking kind of...
Except for BTK.
They're kind of nerdy. They're not doing too well in life. They're not regulars in any kind of scene. They're just, you know what I mean? They don't have extended relationships with other people. In other words, they're not part of crowds or scenes. We kind of have our own little community around here, you know what I mean? So we know who's who.
Yeah, everybody knows everybody. And if anybody does anybody does anything fucked up, everybody knows immediately.
And they report that
because
shit.
Everybody talks about
it. And then they report that shit to us.
Yeah, and we're like some of the first ones.
The weirdest thing is, like, out of that entire fucking scene that we're in, we're like the most respected ones. We're like everybody's mom and dad.
Yeah.
And they kind of tell us that.
Yeah, we're like the
fucking mom and dad of the scene. It's because we don't get any trouble.
That's true. Yeah, and we don't cause any drama.
We're not causing trouble. We're not trying to fuck other people's fucking boyfriends or girlfriends and fucking doing all that drama and shit that they do. But a lot of them have gotten older in the past 10 years, so a lot of that's mellow.
We're not the oldest. We're among the oldest.
Yeah.
But there are some that are in the scene that are older than us.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do get called like shit even at iBar, which I hope reopens because I would hate for me to not ever be able to go back there again. Yeah. But Lee at iBar, he's the bar manager.
Yeah.
He calls us mom and dad.
Yeah, and I got dudes fucking reporting to me, that I'm joining the Navy. I'm joining the Air Force. I'm joining the Army. I'm like, dude, go ahead and do your fucking thing, man. And then they're reporting back to me like I'm their dad. And I realize a lot of them don't have dads. So maybe I am their dad.
Well, and some of them too, and we've heard this particularly
from... They're telling me how good they're doing in the military.
Well, particularly from some that come from particularly, very strict families or something. Yeah. It's like, if you're into the goth scene, some families, even in this day and age, for Christ's sake, some families don't like it.
Yeah.
So... Sometimes, some of these younger people, their parents do not like them being... goths or into the fetish scene or whatever, so some of them relate to us better than they relate to their own parents because we're like the age of their parents,
right?
But we're not as lame as their actual parents. so we get that a lot. We get a lot of the younger ones my parents hate me or they kick me out of the house or they don't listen to me or anything like that. So we try to give them advice and shit from our crotchety old point of view.
Actually, we don't have a crotchety old point of view. Not as crotchety as the old people from my time when I was a kid.
Well, yeah, no shit.
Those people couldn't function today.
I told myself, even from going back to when I was 12 or 13 years old, I said I'm never going to be like that. Yeah. I just don't ever want to be like that.
My grandparents' generation, they would be non-functional.
I don't want to be I know physically I'll be an old person, but I don't want to mentally be an old person. Right. And I told myself that when I was a teenager.
We're going to download our consciousness into the internet. We'll live on it.
I want to download my consciousness into a new hot body.
Yeah, in a robot body.
Body.
They'll have all that probably. I don't know if
hopefully they'll have developed that shit before I'm too old to take advantage.
It'd be like
I am into that idea.
It'd be like something out of damn Battlefield Earth.
I want a whole bunch of bodies that I could choose from.
We're getting sidetracked again. We're getting sidetracked again.
That's all right.
Is that how much is left on the case?
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Okay.
Well, not quite a bit. But, okay. All right. So Sam Little has also confessed to killing one woman in Akron, Ohio, 2 women in Cincinnati. 2 of the women that he murdered in Cincinnati, they actually know who those women are. A lot of his victims are unidentified, sadly. And that's why the FBI is trying to put out these sketches that he did. He does these sketches. They're super creepy, you guys. It's he does them in these chalk pastels. And they're obviously he never took a drawing class, but they're good enough that you can identify the person. If you knew that person, if you saw the drawing of it, you would say, yeah, that's that person. So it looks like that person, but it's it doesn't look realistic, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Because at least one victim has been identified from one of the drawings. And it's really weird because I saw the drawing and it was put next to the identified victim. And to me, it didn't look that similar, but apparently even friends of the victim and the victim's son, who was only a kid when his mom disappeared, he's yeah, that's my mom, when he saw the drawing. To me, it doesn't look that similar, but I guess it must have been similar enough that somebody, I think it was the hair mostly, that because she had this very particular hairstyle. But yeah, so he does all these creepy drawings. So the FBI have put out a bunch of his drawings. So they encouraged him to draw a lot of the women that he killed. from his memory. And he apparently has a really good memory because a lot of them are very detailed. And so they're putting them out and they're trying to, like, determine, like, they're trying to match them up with, like, cases and stuff.
Weird.
So, yeah, the two women he killed in Cincinnati, one of them was Anna Stewart, who was 33. She was actually last seen in 1981. I don't believe she was a sex worker. She was going to visit her sister, like, in the hospital or something like that. Like, and she's getting out of a cab and then she disappeared. And then they found her dead later on. I should say, too, this is another guy. This guy had a girlfriend for a long time. I don't know how long they were together. He called her Jean. I have a picture of the two of them together. She was a lot older than he was. She was a little bit of a criminal, too. Like, he would steal shit and she would, like, fence it. You know what I mean? I don't think she knew about the murders necessarily.
Probably
or
not.
I don't
A woman probably wouldn't put up with that. That's too much heat. Besides, he could turn on her, which he probably did.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't think, well, she died of shit, I don't remember what she died of. It was some kind of cancer a brain aneurysm. She died of a brain aneurysm.
So he didn't kill her.
Yeah, as far as we know, like, she didn't get killed by him. But apparently she, like, sold a lot of shit that he stole. But that's the thing, though. It's like, and we talked about this, like, with a lot of serial killers that had families, like BTK and stuff like that. Where's the point where, because I think there's kind of a segment of people that are like, oh, well, if your husband or your dad is a serial killer, you've got to know, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
Like I said, if I was a kid, if my dad had been a serial killer, for example, he's not a well, I don't think.
No.
He's not a serial killer, but if I'd been a little kid and he'd been, like, just, say, going off to work every day, I wouldn't think anything about it. He could be, like, off doing his job. He used to, like, install cable, so he used to, like, drive around in the fucking Cablevision truck. Like BTK used to do in his fucking, we're seeing how long your grass is, or your dog catcher truck, or whatever. And it's like, if you were out, like, fucking stalking people and murdering them, how the fuck would I know? And I feel like the wives you don't know that either.
Yeah.
How much do you really know about, like, the person that you live with, especially if they go out to work every day?
Yeah, keeping secrets.
You don't know what they're doing.
If you can fool around on a woman, then you can kill another woman.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Exactly. And, like,
actually, it's probably easier to kill a woman and your wife not know, because it's not a continuing relationship and it doesn't progress.
Right,
so
and there's, like, nothing that, there's, like, not, like, this building, like, fucking...
It's just one night stands and you kill a person, so there's no connection.
Right, and that's what I mean. So that's fucked up to say, but it's probably true. Carrying on a long-term affair with someone...
A lot of guys get caught.
You're probably, like, gonna get caught.
A lot of guys get caught, with other women because the girlfriend fucking approaches the fucking wife. You know what I mean? Or tries to sabotage the situation so the wife finds out. Because she's trying to run off with the dude.
Yeah, and she gets sick of, like, being, like, the side piece.
She didn't want to be the side woman. She wanted to be the main woman.
Yeah. So I can see that.
Yeah, that happens a lot, so...
So, yeah, like you said, I feel like, people maybe, like, cast aspersions on serial killers' wives and children and stuff like that. Like, oh, you must have known and blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. It's like, if they're not killing people in your house... If they're not killing... If they go out to work every day, how the fuck do you know what they're doing?
What I think is weird is that you got a guy who's married, he's got kids, and he's fucking got a perfectly normal family life. He cares about his family, but he's fucking over other people's fucking wives.
See, that blows like my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Like, in a way...
Killing other people's daughters.
In a lot of ways, like, serial killers that are just, like, drifters, or just, like Samuel Little, like Gary Ridgway.
Yeah,
like,
it's more understandable.
Like it's more understandable because it's like they don't really have any, like, deep connections. They don't have any family. They don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's easier for them just like, they just kill people and they dump them, and it's like they don't really think about it. But when you have this whole other life...
Yeah.
And, you have a wife and kids or whatever, and they don't suspect anything that's going on, that blows my mind, like, way more.
Yeah, he's a family man, and he's fucking trying to do right by his family, but he's fucking your family over.
How can you, like, compartmentalize? I really don't understand that. I don't understand people that are able to compartmentalize to that degree.
They're just like a psychopath or a sociopath in a way to where they just, other people don't matter. They only care about their own desires.
I guess.
Totally selfish.
I mean, BTK, he had a word for that. He called it cubing. That's what he called it. He called it like, he was talking about like he had different cubes.
He put that shit in a box.
He was putting stuff in a box. So he calls it cubing. So he would cube into this or cube into that. Yeah. That was the terminology that he used. Yeah. But I don't understand like being able to do that. I really don't. I don't think most people understand that. He was
compartmentalizing his fucking behavior.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want one personality or one persona to fucking infringe on the other. Be like cross-contamination.
Yeah, that's the way he talked about it.
You would have fucking conflicts where you have to fucking worry about the victims that you killed.
Yeah.
And the impact that he doesn't want to do that. He's got to keep that away.
Yeah, so everything's in its own little box. Right, yeah. And that's what he called it, cubing.
Yeah. It's a fucking personality problem. That means it's almost kind of like multiple personalities in a way to where you're not integrated into one being.
Right. That's not normal, right?
No, it's not normal.
I was going to say.
No, it's not.
I was like, I hope not, because I don't.
I mean, as a soldier, you kind of click into a mission mode.
Yeah, I get that.
But you're with a bunch of guys, and it's a military situation, and there's a higher objective. It always boils down to, we got to kill these guys so our guys don't get killed.
Right, I get that.
So you're killing other people to protect people you know. That's really what it's about.
Yeah.
That's why, kind of like the holistic concept of like, hey, we're all just people, man. And that doesn't fucking fly with most people. Not with me. It's just not how it is. Because you're dealing with other people that have other motives that are contrary to yours. And if you give them a chance, they will overcome you and your society and kill you or impose their will on you. You don't want that. So that's what warfare and fighting is all about. It's about willpower. You know what I mean? Whose will dominate. Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't want them to be able to impose on you, so you're going to impose on them. Which, to a person who lives a fucking normal civilian life and, in an office, that doesn't make any sense to them because they're not in that world. But it is another way of looking at it, and that's how we look at it. And it is a reality. This here, though, of like what BTK and these other serial killers do, it's not a reality because it's too much oriented towards a single person. That person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Dennis Rader.
Yeah.
It's oriented towards Dennis Rader. It's like the ultimate in fucking solipsism or the ultimate in fucking ego. Like all the universe revolves around them.
They do kind of have that, don't they?
Well, fuck them. That's, if you ask me, it's overcompensation of some sort. Or
no shit.
Or there's something not right in their brains.
People are not able to deal with their own insignificance.
Right.
I feel like
I never really saw myself like that. I always saw myself on a tribal level. That's how I see it. I care about people that I know, people that I have relationships with. You know what I mean? And in the big picture, when I was in the military, that was my unit, my platoon, my company, my regiment. The army that I was in. That really meant more to me at the time than civilians or America. That's not really what we were thinking of. We were thinking about the dudes we knew. It's personalized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But humans are built, I think, if you ask me, most humans are built for more of a tribal mentality. You're mostly just thinking about the people in your immediate sphere.
Yeah, 100 to 200 people. That's generally
exactly.
What most people...
And it makes more sense to see the world that way.
That doesn't mean you want everybody else to just fuck off and die. It's like, I do feel like most people have like a larger... Like, they do have a larger understanding of like, hey, my actions affect more than just my social group and stuff like that. Especially nowadays. But most people, like, your brain kind of evolved to deal with your closest 100, 200, 250 people.
And I also think I also believe, I think, and as science supports this, nation is a factor, or, like civilization is a factor. And then to a certain degree, race is a factor. And then, like, your immediate tribal sphere.
Not even race, similarities.
Similarities.
How similar people are.
Well, here's the weird thing about race. In the military, race wasn't too much of a factor. We were all just kind of green. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, you're all like.
We all kind of considered ourselves to be the same race.
Yeah.
And I guess you can say that's kind of like part of nation.
Yeah.
But we had a concept of struggling civilizations. That there were different civilizations on the earth that had opposing values. And we were being told to sort them out. We didn't always agree with it, though. You know what I mean? That was being decided by echelons above reality, is what we used to call it. In other words, motherfuckers they're so high up, they're not even real. Like presidents and politicians. Echelons above reality, that's what we would call it. Because most of their decisions actually didn't work. You know what I mean?
Well, because, and we were talking about this earlier, and somebody commented about this on the YouTube page. It's like, you get higher ups in whatever organization, and the higher up you get, the less they know about what's going on lower down the echelons.
Yeah.
And but however, they're in charge of like telling people what to do down there, even though they don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, like I'm going to give everybody a fucking example that maybe they will understand. Okay. I was in the 101st Airborne Division. It was in the 1st and the 327th, and some guys from MI came to fucking interview us, and they were in civilian clothes, so we couldn't tell what rank they were or anything. They do that to disarm you because they want to ask you questions. They wanted to ask us. They were asking us questions. If the enemy was shooting at you from a building and there were civilians in there, what would you do? And we're like, well, we'd blow the whole fucking building down. And they're like, but they're civilians. And they're like, no, they're not. If they're civilians, then they'd be helping us fight these guys that are in the buildings. And then they were like, but there's civilians mixed in with them. And then we were like, and this was a dude that I knew, who's a Spec 4, just getting ready to get out. He said, you go in there and you kill some of them guys, they're all going to fucking line up behind them and fight you no matter who they were. Just like if somebody came here to America and started killing Americans, everyone would fight them. All right? Well, evidently our unit failed that test. Instead, they chose the 75th Infantry, which is the Ranger regiments. Guess where they sent them? Mogadishu. Guess what happened to them? They went there to feed those people, and when they killed the warlords who stole the food, they all started to attack the U.S. Army, and we pulled out of there. So we were right.
Yeah.
Operation Restore Hope was a failure. You cannot go into another country and shoot people and kill people and not have them fight you. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's going to be repercussions.
There's going to be repercussions.
Because you shoot people, you don't know who that person's related to.
Because they were related to the other people.
Right.
All right, and this is something...
That person might not be a terrorist, but...
Right. Echelons above reality do not understand this because they're not realistic. These are people that live in... They're not real people. Right. So we told them exactly. It says... And fucking, we told them, says, no matter where you send us, we're going to kill everybody we see. And that kept us from getting deployed.
Well, it ended up good for you. You didn't have to get a fucking Mogadishu.
And fucking, and the 75th Infantry went there, the Rangers, and got their asses tore out of the frame. Even though they are awesome soldiers, some of the best soldiers in the world. That is an unwinnable situation.
Yeah.
That's why all this regime change and all this shit of the past fucking 30 years was a total failure, and fucking privates could have told them that. Privates in the Army could have told them that shit 30 years ago.
Well, like I said,
they're not gonna listen to us.
I do feel like they should listen more to people that are
in reality.
Like, whatever the situation is, they should listen to people like on the ground that are actually doing the thing that they want to. Because like I said, I was talking to somebody on YouTube about this today where she was talking about how she hated, like, managers that come in and, like, they don't know how to do the job that you're doing, but they still, like, tell you how to do it.
How to do your job.
And it's like, you have to do this and that. And it's like, I have experienced that my whole entire professional life. It's like, you have managers who don't know how to do what you're doing. They don't have the technical expertise. They don't have anything, but they're still telling you, oh, well, you need to do this, that, and the other. And you try to tell them, hey, look, we can't do this, in this time frame because of this, that, and the other. But they don't want to hear that. They just want it done. They don't care, like, that you can't do it.
No.
You know what I mean? They just want it done because all they care about is their own salary, their own fucking, end game. They don't care about how it takes to get there.
And we were 20-year-old fucking privates and specialists and shit telling these MI, like, no, man, you send us to another country to nation build by killing people of that country? You are fucking crazy. Yeah, you're fucking crazy.
That's never good.
They didn't learn that from Vietnam.
Well, because like I said, if somebody came into, like, just for example,
you're gonna spread democracy by going out there and killing some fucking people.
If somebody came into, like,
and they're all related, they are all related over there, and you're gonna kill them.
Somebody comes into, like, our neighborhood and starts killing people. Let's bring it down to that level. Mm-hmm. Somebody comes into our neighborhood and starts killing people.
You're gonna go try to save them,
and then it's like. Right, it's like, and then you're gonna say, like, oh, well, we just
we're
like
only
kill
killing them.
We're only
because
killing those people. It's
they
like,
don't believe what we believe.
That's our neighbor, though.
Right, yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean?
Well, they
like that guy.
They had themselves convinced that we could export democracy and American values by killing people, and that's just a fucking alien concept to me. Especially you're trying to do this to people who basically can't read and write.
See, you know what I mean? And I'm not
who
saying,
don't
like,
have running water.
Like, democracy is good. It's just that I feel like...
They're going to force it at the fucking barrel of a gun?
It can't be fucking forced.
No.
It's like people have to come to that shit of their own volition.
Their own evolution.
You got to fucking do that shit.
Yeah.
You can't, like, force it on people. You can't...
Yeah, and I want everybody out here listening to me to understand this is going back to the 90s, back with fucking Operation Restore Hope. Soldiers on the fucking ground were telling the army, you're fucking crazy. That's an impossible mission. And they didn't listen to us, and that led directly to the Iraq War 2. Iraq War Part 2, which is going in there and getting rid of fucking... What's that?
Electric
Boogaloo. Which that was... Unfortunately, a lot of my fucking comrades in arms died for that shit right there, and really that was about contracts. I think they thought they could make Iraq a shining beacon of democracy. They believed that because that's how dumb they fucking are. They didn't know those people, the history, and democracy isn't something you can force on people with fucking M16s and bombs. It's something that they evolve into through their own will. And there are cultures that will never accept that. Yeah,
you gotta want that shit.
There are cultures that will never accept that. Never. And it's just the truth. Some cultures want religion. They don't want government. Because their religion is a government. And you can't force that on them. That's on them.
Yeah.
And look at this sidetrack. Man, we are fucking sidetracked like a motherfucker.
We went way out.
And I got military officers out there listening to me and everything. There are lieutenant colonels and fucking high-ranking military officers that listen to me and fucking talk to me off the screen. So after the show. So,
like I said, it's all good. It's all good. Like I said, people seem to like when the shows go longer.
Yeah.
And because Samuel Little, I wanted to do a show about him because he's, according to the FBI, the most prolific serial killer in the U.S., but there's not a lot of information about him. So I was kind of like, well, shit, do I have enough information for a show? I think that every single time, and then he starts talking, and then the show's
gonna blame this shit on me.
I'm not blaming. I'm just saying that, no, I'm good. I'm being appreciative. Okay. It's like, and then the show ends up being 2.5, 3 hours long. So that's good. You fill it in.
She's saying that I'm material. I'm entertainment material. I'm a clown now. I'm a clown. What was that?
Do I amuse you?
Do I amuse you? What was that? Was Goodfellas and shit?
I'm
a clown.
It's Joe Pesci. I thought you wanted that. You wanted that, right?
Yeah, I'm playing with you.
I was going to say.
You know I'm playing with you, baby.
I never know.
Oh, yeah.
I never know.
So what
all right, so Samuel Little is in prison. Now, he has confessed to a bunch of other crimes. Now, let's talk about, just kind of as a wrap-up,
Okay.
Let's talk about like the 5 main crimes that the FBI are investigating at this point. Now, these are crimes that Samuel Little has confessed to, but they have not yet matched to any unsolved crimes. Now, I should note that most of his crimes that he confessed to have been matched to crimes around the country that they suspect that he committed. These 5 have not been. So, should go without saying, but if anybody knows anything about any of these, like, please call the FBI and, like, tell them about it. So these, as far as I can tell, this was from the FBI website. These are the 5 unmatched confessions that he's made. Again, you can also go on YouTube and you can see him talking about these particular cases, these particular victims that they have not matched to a victim yet. So this is one that occurred in either 1971 or 1972. This happened in Miami, Florida. Now, he says that he met this 18 or 19-year-old. It was a transgender black woman. This was in Miami. He said that he didn't know her last name, but that her first name was Marianne or Mary Ann, like 2 words. He wasn't really sure. Said she was about 5'6", 5'7", about 140 pounds. He said he met her at a bar called The Pool or the Pool Palace, which was near 17th Avenue in Miami. Now, this was one where, like I said, because he had like a several-day relationship with some of these victims, so he met her at a bar. He went home, apparently, like a couple days later, he saw her at the bar again. And this time, the bar was in Overton. And then he said he would give her a ride home. He says that she lived with a bunch of other roommates. And it was somewhere an apartment between Brownsville and Liberty City. He goes back to the apartment where she lived with all these roommates. One of them said they needed some shaving cream and somebody needed to go out and buy some. So they go back to Samuel Little's car, which at the time was a gold 4-door Pontiac Le Mans. And he took Marianne, this victim, he drove north on Highway 27 and ended up killing her in a driveway that was near a sugarcane field. And he drove down Highway 27 into the Everglades, turned down a dirt road that led into either a river or a swamp, he wasn't really sure, dragged her body 200 yards into the water, and left the body there. He does not think the body was ever found. So this is one that he confessed to, that they have not found the body as of yet. Like I said, this is in the Everglades. So if anybody knows anything about that, FBI is like interested in
alligators
matching the shit. Possibly. Like I said, some of these, as I said, like he's confessed to like 93 murders, which if it was Henry Lee Lucas or somebody like that, I would like doubt it. But they have matched him with so many unsolved crimes. He knew all these details. He knew exactly like how old the woman was, about how much she weighed, what she was wearing, when she disappeared, what city it was, what car he was driving. He knew all this stuff. So they've been able to match him with about like between 50 and 60 unsolved murders. And the FBI have come forward and stated, it's like, look, we're keeping a lot of like details like close to their vest and stuff, but we don't have any reason to doubt any of the other confessions that he has made. Why would he make it up?
We don't even live anywhere near the Everglades that we are in Florida. When I was taking care of Dr. Matt's barn, Dr. Matt's a fucking rich fucking doctor.
He just lives a couple miles from
here. Yeah, not even a couple blocks really up there. And he has a barn full of horses and a chicken coop and fucking had turkeys, goats and turkeys and all kinds of shit. And while he and his wife were out of town, I was taking care of his fucking farm. And turkey died while he was gone. I grabbed that turkey and just fucking threw it out back behind his property. I came back 6 hours later, that fucking turkey was gone.
Well, turkey is delicious,
and
so everyone in the animal kingdom knows that.
The entire animal kingdom, even in the basically, we're in the suburbs now. It wasn't suburbs really back then, but close, I guess. But you leave anything dead out in Florida, it's fucking gone. Florida is a fucking body disposal machine.
I noticed the other day, you know what's interesting? I noticed the other day, like I said, I walk up and down the Seminole Cava Trail, like every morning. And for a while, there was like a body of a possum, I think it was. And, so there was the possum body. It stunk for like a day or two. I remember this morning I went out walking and I was like, I wonder how much of that possum body is left. I wonder if there's any bones. Totally gone.
Totally gone.
No bones, no nothing.
A human body, I think, would be gone in about 4 days.
It probably would be.
Yeah.
That possum was gone in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
It smelled really bad, like the first day or two. And like I saw it, like with the fucking shit and everything. But then like today when I went out there, nothing.
A human body in the water, the fish, the fucking snapping turtles,
Alligator gar.
You know what I mean? That would be gone just in a couple of days.
Yeah, everything gets down here. We have so many like
even
horrible
rot.
monsters.
It would be gone by the time it was fucking rotten.
There's so many creatures down here. It's like Australia.
Yeah.
It's just so many creatures that like feed on dead things.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the second case the FBI is looking into, this happened in Little Rock, Arkansas, sometime between 1992 and 1994. Now, Samuel says that he encountered a black female in a transient area of Little Rock, Arkansas between 1992 and 1994. He couldn't quite remember. He said when he met her, it was very cold and maybe snowing. He said the woman was about 24 years old, about 5'5" to 5'7". She was about 200 pounds. Now, he said that he stayed with her off and on for about 3 days. Him and the woman reportedly shoplifted some various places. He says around this time that he was arrested for shoplifting from a Kroger grocery store. Now, the FBI checked this, and indeed, he was arrested for shoplifting from a Kroger by the North Little Rock Police Department on April 20th, 1994. So it was sometime around then. So like I said, his memory is actually quite good. Yeah. Because he did remember getting arrested.
He remembered the fucking month.
Yeah, like being arrested for that, and they did check the records, and he did get arrested for that kind of shit. So the weird thing about it, though, he gets arrested for shoplifting, but he got released because the Kroger grocery store didn't like that his car had been left in the parking lot, and they wanted him let out so he could move it, or they wanted it moved. They didn't want it hanging out there. So he was only in the jail for 3 hours, and then they released him, and he goes back to the car, and apparently the woman who he hadn't killed yet was sleeping in the back of his car, which was a 1978 yellow Cadillac Eldorado. Could have been a Dodge, but he thought it was an Eldorado. It was on the grocery store's property, and they wanted it off. So he says that he goes back to the car. She's still sleeping inside. He says that he took this woman to meet her ex-boyfriend, who was called Bear. That wasn't his name, obviously.
He remembered
that was his nickname. Yeah, he remembers
got a memory.
A lot of shit, yeah. So he says he took her to visit Bear, and then took her to her house, and then he went away, and then the next day he came back, and she needed a ride toward either Benton or Bentonville, Arkansas. So he gave her a ride. And then while he was giving her a ride, they're outside of Little Rock, and he decides he's going to strangle her. So
he just decides that I'm going to kill this bitch.
Yeah. So he says that that he went on the side of the road, that he strangled her.
I wonder if he tells him, "Look, baby, I got to pull over. I got to."
Another weird thing that he said was that, and I'm sure he's doing this just to justify his own actions, but he said, "Oh, a lot of these women, they have a death wish." That's what he said.
Yeah, they want to die.
It's it's I start doing it, and they're just like, "Yeah, do it."
Right.
And I'm like, I find that
buying it.
I find that hard to believe. But
so he's trying to endear himself to the audience.
Yeah, he's trying to make it seem like, oh well, I just did what they wanted.
It wasn't a crime or anything. They wanted it.
Or, their life was so miserable that I was doing them a favor. I'm
like
think
an
that's
angel of mercy.
Right. I kind of feel like that's what he was doing. Like, not in a super overt way, but that I kind of got that impression. So he strangles this woman. He says that he put her body on a pile of branches and old corn stalks, which is near a cornfield. He thought her name might have been Ruth, and that her mother lived in North Little Rock. So that's another one that the FBI are looking to match to a murder. There was another one that happened in Covington, Kentucky. Kentuckians can tell me how to pronounce that. Covington. That's what I thought. In 1984. He says it was 1984, probably summer, he said. He was driving his Lincoln Continental Mark III. He was driving from Lorain, Ohio to Cincinnati. While he was en route, he met a 25-year-old white female outside a strip club. This was the woman that I was talking about earlier, that he said approached him. He was parked behind a strip club, and he said, like, the trunk of his car was open. And he said this woman approached him and wanted a ride to Miami. Now, he described this woman as being about 5'6" or 5'7".
Wait a minute, from Kentucky to Miami?
Yeah. She wanted a ride.
That's fucking a long, long way.
Well, it is, yeah.
All right.
But, maybe she had family down there. You don't know.
Maybe he just said he'd take her part of the way. That's a fucking long way.
Yeah, true. But yeah, so, this is a white woman, 5'6", 5'7", 130 to 170 pounds. He wasn't quite sure. He said she had real short blonde hair. He said not kind of like a bob, but like just a little bit under her ears. Said she had blue eyes. Said she was kind of like a hippie, like looked kind of like a hippie. Like I said, she asked him for a ride to Miami and said that her mother lived there. So he said that he took this woman south on Interstate 75. They got to Cincinnati. They hung out downtown on Vine Street in Cincinnati. Then they just kept on driving together, go into northern Kentucky. And then he says that he drove to a hilly area not far from Interstate 75, drove up a small dirt road to the top of a little round hill, that's a quote, and he strangled her in the back seat and left her body on the top of the hill. So if anybody knows who that is another one that the FBI is looking to match.
Guess they never found her.
They have not. Like I said, most of his confessions, they have matched to cold cases in whatever states they are that he said that he committed the crimes, because his memory is still very good. But, and he knows enough details that they can, like, match them up. These are just the 5 that they're still trying to, like, identify, like, who the victim is or who the
on top of the hill off of a dirt road?
That's what he said, yeah.
Nobody found it. Okay.
Yeah, northern Kentucky. It's,
weird.
Well, it's a big country, and there's still, like, a lot of rural area. I mean...
must have been nothing in that area.
I feel like a lot of the bodies of his victims have probably not been found.
Something came and got it. Coyotes got it or something.
Yeah, and you have that factor as well, like all the animals and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, here's one that happened in Las Vegas, Nevada, 1993. Now, he says in 1983 he was driving a 1978 yellow Cadillac Eldorado to Los Angeles. He meets a black woman on Owens Avenue or Jackson Street in Las Vegas. He said she was thin. She was very dark-skinned. She was about 40 years old, about 5'5". Said she was, like I said, very skinny, only 110 to 120 pounds. He said that he thought that her hair was probably short, but that she wore a wig that had, like, long hair. And that was what he depicted in the drawing, because this was one of the victims that he drew. Said that she had a son who was between 19 and 23 years old. He said that he took her to a motel room and strangled her to death, then placed her body in the trunk of his car, drove to the outskirts of Las Vegas, pulled off a remote road, and rolled her body down a slope. He also drove a little bit further and threw her clothes out. They think that it is likely that this body was never found, because he said he went outside of Las Vegas and it's all like fucking desert out there. Now, the fifth victim that the FBI are looking for to match up with one of Samuel Little's confessions, this happened in New Orleans, Louisiana, in 1982. Now, he says it was probably about sometime in the fall of 1982. He says he met a black female in New Orleans. She was between 30 and 40 years old, about 5'8", 5'9" tall, about 160 pounds. He described her as having honey-colored skin, brown skin. She was a black woman. Medium length, straight hair. He said she was wearing a really pretty dress with buttons on the front. He said he met her in a club. She was at a birthday party with a bunch of her friends and one of her two sisters. Now, he says that she went with him in his car, which was a Lincoln Continental Mark III at the time. He also said that she told him that she lived with her mother, who had some kind of illness or was maybe an invalid, couldn't leave her bed or whatever. He also said that this woman in particular had given him keys to her house. I'm not really sure why that was. Maybe he was staying there at the time. So he says that he drove her to the Little Woods exit off Interstate 10. Then he turned down a dirt road along a canal that was being dredged. They both got out of his car. Then he says he pulled her toward the canal and then strangled her to death and left the body there. Then he said afterward that he went back to the motel where he was staying in Pascagoula, Mississippi. So this is another confession that they have as yet not matched to a cold case murder, but they are still trying to. So they're putting all this information out. Like I said, they put out, like, if you go to the FBI's website, they have, like, all of the drawings that he's done. One or two of them have been matched to actual people. They did look enough like the person that, their relatives were able to identify them. But they're still trying to, like, identify some other ones that they're, like, not sure about.
She's tearing up paper.
Yeah, she's over there.
Yeah.
She's
the cat, it's cat control. She'll grab a piece of paper and start tearing it up, and that's got notes on it. I didn't know if if it has something to do with one of your books or...
It does, but it's all right. Like, you know what I mean. She likes to eat paper for whatever reason. Hi, sweetie.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You got the Tiger King, and I'm the fucking Kitty King.
The Pookie King.
I'm the Pookie King.
Look, you can see her over there.
Don't you know that you are a Pookie star?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I told you in the Sidetrack show, we sing songs to her. Like, my favorite one to sing to her, I don't know if you know this. You know that song that's called, who the fuck did it originally? I know a lot of people have covered it. It's just called Spooky.
Yeah.
And Spooky rhymes with Pookie. So... I always kind of sing it. I always kind of sing to her. It's like, love is kind of crazy with a pooky little cat like you.
Okay.
Pookie. She doesn't care.
No, she's looking like, fuck you. She's looking at the microphone. Okay, we got to get back to show.
Cat people are messed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as I was saying, like I said, I'm like wrapping this shit up. But these are the 5 particular cases that the FBI is, like, worried about right now. They've been, like, updating the site. Like, the last update that I saw was February or March of 2019, where they had actually, like, matched a bunch of his confessions. Because if you look at, like, some of the YouTube videos, I think he confessed to... I think there was, like, 14 of them on there that he confessed to. And they've, like, subsequently been able to match those to actual cases. They... are still trying to decide. It's like, should we actually charge him with those because we have to, like, extradite him to other states and it's like a big deal. He's already got a life sentence. He's not getting out. So I can understand how relatives of the victims might want closure and stuff, but I do feel like at this point it might be a waste of time and money.
He'll be dead in a few years anyway.
Yeah, because he's
take a decade
almost
to go through
80 at this point, and he's in very, very poor health. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I think probably, I mean, sadly, the best you can hope for is that he confesses to the crime. You know he probably did it.
The parents of all these victims are probably dead, most of them.
I would think. I mean, so many of them were so long ago. Like, stop. Oh, my God. Look
now
at
she's
her.
attacking the camera.
And you can see, like, look at her little butt. Look at this butt.
Okay. She's getting ready to leave, so we'll be along.
She's a goofball. Yeah. But yeah,
so
I feel like I can see how if it was my mom or my sister or something like that, yes, you would want that you would want him, like, convicted of that particular crime. But I feel like at this point, it took so long for them to catch him, and he's so old and in such bad health. This is kind of like some fucking original Night Stalker Joseph D'Angelo shit. It's like by the time they caught him, he's like so fucking old. It's like, what are you gonna do about it?
It's kind of beyond the grip.
He's
of
gonna
justice.
He's gonna fucking die before any of this shit comes.
You put him
to
in prison, and he's just gonna talk shit and fucking play games for the next fucking 5, 6, 7 years until it fucking croaks.
Because these dudes are the fucking worst.
And
They're the worst.
What are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. It's like, it sucks, but at this stage, I'd be like, well, do we really want to, like, waste money on this motherfucker?
Yeah.
He's already in there.
Yeah. D'Angelo, for all that shit that he's going to do, he's going to end up doing it 4 or 5 years.
Well...
Because he's going to die.
Yeah, he's going to fucking croak.
Probably, yeah.
It's like, it sucks because look how long he got away with that shit.
Yeah.
Look how long Samuel Little got away with this shit. He didn't get caught for all this shit until 2012.
He doesn't have to worry about bills or anything. This is his retirement.
I guess.
He's just going to sit up there.
And like, he didn't even confess to all these murders until 2018. That was only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's been killing people since 1970.
Yeah.
Before I was even born.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of D'Angelo. The fucking... The tattoo issue. I forgot.
Somebody told me that we need to, like, once his trial... Because his trial hasn't started yet. Somebody said we need to do another show, like once the trial starts.
Did he really have a tattoo of a bull or a bulldog on him?
You know what? I don't even remember at this point.
Yeah. We got to go back and check all that kind of shit. Because that was before we knew who it was.
Yeah, because we did a show before he got caught.
That show's got 63,000 views on it. I called that shit.
Because remember how...
I've made a lot of predictions that came true. Nostradamus fucking spoke.
Isn't that fucking weird that, like, we did the show, what was it, a year or two before he got caught?
Yeah, and a few weeks later, fucking they caught his ass.
Yeah, and it's like, it's really weird. It's really weird to think about because I always kind of feel like all those crimes from, like, back in the day that have never been solved, like the Zodiac and shit like that, I always feel like, oh, well, they're never going to catch that.
I wonder if that bitch...
That bitch is probably dead.
I wonder if that old bitch even knew anything about the interwebs. I wonder if he heard our show.
See, I always kind of wonder about that, too.
Yeah.
I'm
just that little dick motherfucker.
Yeah, you and your micro dick. I'm like, well, do they let them have the internet in prison? I guess it depends on what prison.
No, they don't have it, I don't think.
That's what I thought. I didn't think
no.
Like...
But I was just wondering that he had it. He had it at that time. He had to have. But he probably didn't even know what fucking YouTube was. His boomer ass.
He's like an old dude. He doesn't know the internet works.
What? Huh?
He's still
What's a YouTube?
He's still on AOL.
Yeah, he's on AOL.
Or some shit like that. Well, that's one thing that I kind of worry about. It's like, I'm more comfortable like covering cases where the perpetrator is probably dead.
Yeah, that way they're not watching us.
Yeah, it's like, it kind of wears me out.
I'm not scared of those dudes, though, man. I'm
not either, but it is something that you have to, like, be... And honestly, because now I'm working on Faceless Villain 4, which is going to be unsolved murders from 2000 to 2019. So most of those perps are still alive. Yeah. So hopefully none of them will kill me. But if you guys know, if something bad happens...
So far, when it comes to serial killers, the only badass was D'Angelo. But he was a fucking 70s and 80s badass. Fucking, that shit's not happening now.
How badass is it, though, to just, like, break into people's head with a fucking mask on and, like, tie everybody up?
Yeah, and you're a fucking cop.
Put dishes on their back.
And you're a fucking cop. You're a serial killer and you're a cop.
That's why I don't like cops, man.
Yeah, that dude is a fucking piece of shit, man.
Because I do feel like... But, once the trial starts, if it ever fucking does, I think they're kind of, like, waiting for him to shuffle off the mortal coil, let's say that. They're just kind of, like, waiting for him to die so they don't have to, like, spend the money to, like, go through the trial because nobody wants to do
that bitch is he's going to die.
Which, that would be the best possible scenario for all involved. Like I said, I understand that if you had a relative that was a victim, like, I understand, like, wanting that closure, wanting that person to pay for what they did,
Yeah.
but
that was an awful long time ago.
Yeah, well,
And
yeah,
I
and
think
you
a
also
lot of
have
the
to
relatives are from that era are probably gone.
like, and as long as like you saw the fucking dude die, like he's in prison, he's like this little withered old man, he's like this pathetic nothing, and he's, you know what I mean? It's like I kind of feel like that would be greater satisfaction seeing him. I would rather see them like just become like old and withered and unhealthy and insignificant.
And
before they died.
Not lay claim to any of that shit.
Right, because like if they got like the electric chair or something like that, that might be seen as like more of a badass death, I guess.
Yeah.
I would rather see you like get fucking Alzheimer's or like suffer. Fucking suffer. Be like an old person, get like old person diseases.
I don't look at it that way. You want them to kind of die in obscurity.
That too.
That's more like...
You don't want them to be like super famous.
Right.
And, like, that's the thing. And in some ways, it sucks that he got away with it for so long. But the fact that they caught him, and the same with Samuel Little, you know, the fact that they caught him when he was already an old man. I mean, Samuel Little didn't get caught till he was, like, in his 70s.
Yeah.
And in a way, I think that's a little more satisfying to me. It's like, because I don't really need to see them die in the electric chair or, like, with fucking lethal injection or whatever. I get more satisfaction seeing them becoming older and more infirm and less significant as time goes on.
Yeah.
And in a way, like, the more they try to be significant, the funnier it is to me.
What else is left on this case?
I think that's about it,
on the
probably.
case?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. You,
Well,
done?
No, yeah, I'm done. This bitch is in custody. He ain't going nowhere. And he's so old that
And
bitch,
he's not going to last much longer, honestly, because he is in very, very, very bad health.
And
not that anyone feels bad about
unfortunately,
that.
the parents of his victims have all passed by now, probably. And
although some of the siblings and stuff like that are still alive.
Siblings might still be around.
Because I know that some of them are.
At least you know who it was. I don't think this dude will ever go to trial. He'll just die in obscurity in prison. He didn't have long enough.
Which maybe is the best thing for him. Because that's what I mean. That's like the weirdest thing to me is that this guy, according to the FBI, killed more people than any other serial killer in America.
It's weird.
You know, there's other serial like in Colombia and Russia and stuff like that killed a lot more people. But this guy killed more people than anybody.
In the U.S., at least.
In the U.S. And... he's not really super well known. Like I said, doesn't have a Murderpedia entry, which is very strange because everybody else has one.
Because that bitch isn't exciting. He's boring.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. He's just like some weird...
He's not killing them on a pig farm and hanging them upside down in the buckets and shit like that. Like that dude. And then they have...
Are we that terrible? It's like we have to have like all these like fucking splashy
Well, no, I'm just going to have to like... take this motherfucker's man card a little bit. Like, yeah, you killed all those people, but you're still insignificant. You didn't even make a mark.
Yeah, like no one even cared.
Yeah, no one even gives a shit.
I think it's because the victims were prostitutes.
Yeah.
Although you could say, I mean, Jack the Ripper's victims are prostitutes, and looks how famous he is. But that's
at least he was violent.
But that's because he did like some really horrific.
Yeah, this bitch here had no character.
I mean, he just strangled him, which I mean, that's bad. But it wasn't he was like.
But he
wasn't like making bowls out of their skulls like Ed
he
Gein
is
or
easily
anything.
forgettable as a nobody. The victims are far more memorable than the than the perpetrators. So just another loser. In
a way, maybe that's good. Maybe that's good that we're getting to that place where serial killers are getting to the point where they're not as interesting as their victims are. Yeah. Because, like I said, that's why I tried, like, you guys, I tried really hard in this case because, like I said, there's not a lot of information about this, despite his kill count, if you want to call it that. But I did try really hard to, like, find pictures of all the victims. You know, I have pictures of him as well, because that's what most of the pictures are. And it's sad because you can find pictures of him really easily. Pictures of the victims, much harder. And a lot of the victims don't have any pictures of them.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter because this bitch here is fucking mediocre. And Morton Joe would not approve. They'd be like, mediocre. Yeah.
Mediocre.
He's just mediocre.
But I'm glad we did a show about him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm glad somebody,
Gotta do a
like,
show on
fucking...
him.
I'm glad somebody, like, suggested this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think... And this is weird because I'm into true crime and stuff, but it's like, I had not heard of this dude. And then when I looked him to, it was like 93 people. Holy crap. Yeah. That's like way up there.
Yeah, he's a strangler.
But he's kind of like, he's kind of like on the outskirts.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of like shit about him.
No.
And it's like really weird. It's a big fucking
Strangle
contradiction.
somebody and jerk off. That's what he does. He's a jerk off artist.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Like, he was like impotent.
Yeah.
I think he even said that at
Did
some
he say
point.
that? Yeah. Couldn't rock up when they were alive. Yeah.
Yeah, he had to like
dead.
wait till they were dead and then fucking necro.
All right, Jenny, shut the shit down. If you guys fucking liked the show and you enjoyed it, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe.
Please do that.
Yeah.
It really does help a lot.
Yeah.
And if you like the show, it's like we've been putting shit up every fucking day.
Right, sir. We're walking you through the Omega Man apocalypse.
I mean, sometimes we put up 2 videos every day because we put up our daily show, and then sometimes we put up movie reviews.
We would appreciate your support, and we will continue.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if all you do is like put a little like button, if you share it with somebody that likes that shit, that's cool.
That's all you gotta do.
That's all you gotta do. Now, if you want to give us money, that's also awesome. You can do that too. You can go to our Patreon page.
You can give money to a drunk Jenny.
Well, or a sober Jenny.
Okay, fine.
I'll be sober tomorrow.
So it's gonna take a few hours. Yeah.
That's the thing about drunk. It wears off after an hour or two.
Right. Yeah.
And drunk people and sober people need money in the same fashion.
We're going to see you guys tomorrow with the next fucking sidetracks. We give you a daily update. We'll keep you up abreast with the fucking down.
We're recording this on Friday, So
but
we will give you a Saturday
shit.
update,
Keep you fucking in line. Keep you on top of the situation in the
Well,
pandemic.
I know that everybody's kind of bummed out about like having to like fucking self-isolate in their apartments. Like I said, I like that shit because I don't like people. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, woohoo, yay, it's quiet for a change. But you know what I mean? It's like, I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. But I understand that like not everyone
some
is
people
like
in
that.
there with like fucking 3 roommates. None of these bitches have any money. They're in there fucking farting and living off of ramen and shit.
That would suck.
Ramen and fucking coffee.
That's what I mean.
creamers.
My experience is not other people's experience.
Yeah.
I'm not having like a hugely it's a
Should've
little bit of
ahead.
It's it's a
Some
little
people
bit of
didn't
a
have money
bummer.
to plan ahead though.
It's a little bit of a look. I'm broke too. Okay, so I feel you. I'm broke too. But honestly, like, I'm antisocial anyway. So it's kind of like I'm kind of fine with just being in my office all day and not talking to anyone. That's cool with me. I like quiet. Other than like our dryer being broke, that's pretty much our biggest inconvenience.
Yeah.
And not being able to like go out dance, and I hate that.
But in order to survive the apocalypse, my suggestion is get out a pack of ramen, put some coffee creamer in it, and a pack of fucking Vienna sausages and some fucking
Don't put Vienna sausages
and some
in
fucking
it.
red chili flakes.
No.
And you'll make it through. Gotta have protein somehow. And don't try to cook potted meat. If you try to cook potted meat, it fucking disintegrates. You're just gonna have fucking clear grease and fucking little flecks of meat in it. I tried all that low. Oh man, fucking! I got
like seriously, for real. The only good thing, like, I love ramen.
Yeah.
The only good thing to put in ramen: boiled eggs,
vegetables,
and vegetables.
Spam.
No,
in Japan they will put spam in.
I know, but
you gotta know how to fucking cook. That's poor people cooking, and you're supposed to be an ex-poor person. You still are.
I'm still a poor person.
Still a poor person.
I still don't like spam, though.
No,
well, I mean, I would eat it if I was starving to death, but...
I gave her a bacon spam. I fried that shit and gave it to her, and she's like, oh, that's pretty good.
No, I said it was okay.
It was okay.
That's what I said. Quote unquote. I said it's all right.
All right, I'm done talking. You're insulting my
No, but... No, it was good. It was fine. But, you know what I mean? It's like, if you're gonna, like, make... I love ramen noodles. Ramen noodles are good with soft-boiled eggs in them.
Okay.
You bust the soft-boiled egg open, and you get the yolk
that's
and
what I give
the
you.
soup. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good like that.
Yeah.
Shut
this shit down, Jenny. Shut it down, Jenny.
Oh, okay.
Shut it down.
I can shut it down now that
Okay.
I have your permission? Okay.
Yeah.
So, All right. Tom says
said it.
that I can shut down episode 191 about serial killer Samuel Little. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he already said like, share, subscribe, all that shit.
Yeah,
if
share,
you want to give us money, you don't have to. I know it's rough out there for everybody. It's rough out there for me. It's rough out there for everybody. But if you can, if you want to support the show financially, you can do that. Go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/13o'clockpodcast, or you can go to our blog, 13o'clockpodcast.wordpress.com, and there's a link in the sidebar. It's a little button, and you can go to a PayPal account, which goes right to yours truly. If you would like to give a one-time donation to the show, it would be much appreciated. Or if you'd like to send us movies or anything like that, you can message me, and I'll give you our home address. If you want to send us movies, we always like getting movies because we like to watch it. That'll do it for episode 191. Hope you guys have enjoyed this rambling discussion. As always, we will see you next time. Bye.